Four regions, hundreds of drivers, thousands of laps. And tonight, it closes up at one small half-mile circuit. The Majors wraps up its biggest undertaking yet tonight at Myrtle Beach. The first year in which every driver in the world was invited to participate saw not only an increase of competitors, but an increase in competition. Tonight's race will settle it all, with this being the final region in the weekend's lineup. Anyone who has had goals and aspirations needs to capitalize now. We'll see who comes out smiling as we get ready to watch the Myrtle Beach 400, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth tonight is Bill Suit Zahn. Next to him is our short track racing expert, Sean Ambrose. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Ducky Beard. Sean, we've covered racing here on GSRC, but in a more American-centric series over with the Outlaw Modifieds. For our viewers who may not follow the short track scene, fill us in.
Joe, you know, there are a few famous roads in America. One of them actually right down here in Old South Kakalaki, as they like to say, U.S. Route 501. Yeah, right here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Joe, this track, built in 1958. They've been slugging it out here for a long time. And what's great about this track is it's just over a half mile, 0.54 miles officially. But the banking and turns, 13 degrees, not a whole lot of it. Old track surface here. It'll be rough on the tires. Tonight we got 3 heats for you, 25 laps each, the top 9 advance, and then of course we'll wrap it all up with a 250 lap main event. But Joe, there have been 4 generations of Pettys. If you don't know the name Petty, Google that, okay? But Richard, the king, the guy they call the king, was actually preceded here by his father, Lee. Kyle Petty raced here. His late son, Adam, did. 3 generations of Earnhardts raced here. Ralph, Dale Sr., Dale Jr., and Kelly Earnhardt, all taking green flags here. But for a real feel of what this track is really like, let's hop on board for another Global SimRacing Channel lap guide here at Myrtle Beach Speedway.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Global SimRacing Channel. I'm Brian Yazek, taking you for a spin around the Myrtle Beach Speedway in the GSRC late model. Without further ado, here we go down the front stretch into this very wide entry into turn 1. You get a little squirrely under braking, but the goal is to get those left sides right down near next to those bumps. Don't hit them. The car is not going to be happy with it after that. Turn 3 seems to be a little easier to get into. You can drive it in a little deeper and you can hug right up against that wall, swinging it right out there, kind of following the checkered line on the track. Back off into turn 1 again, real sweeping wide entry. This is where the big passing zone. If guys are really brave, you're going to see them dive it right down there, get down to that line and try and get off the corner. Not a whole lot of time to really think about it with this 0.54 mile speedway. Off of turn 4 here, coming down, watch the wall, across the line. And that is going to complete our guide here around the Myrtle Beach Speedway. I'm Brian Yazek. Enjoy the show.
There you see a few laps around Myrtle Beach. We'll see a lot more than that because we'll go over exactly how many we'll have here today in just a moment. Before we get to that, the important thing with this being the final round is the point situation. It is not completely finished, although it's very close. Bill will fill us in on exactly how things look.
We'll split things up a little bit. We'll start with the pros since we have lots of breaks today. Let's start from the bottom and look at this. Matthew Thunhorst managed to make his way onto the top 5 overlay here on the final event. How about Lionel Kalisto? He's notorious for sitting second in Pacific Majors. Here in the Majors, he's going to have to settle for 4th. A very quiet 3rd place from Travis Warling. He's been on the chart all season long, doing really well. But really, the story of this season has been the guys in the top 2, Christian Challoner and Blake Reynolds. Challoner 7 back. Like Joe said, it's not over yet, but I think the fat lady is warming up her voice as Blake Reynolds has that 70 points. Joe?
Indeed. We'll tell you a little bit more about how they need to finish to change that order. And, well, it's going to take quite drastic circumstances for that to switch around. Before we get to that, let's talk to you about this race format. And because this is short track racing, we're doing it just like they do a lot of times in real life with heats. So, as you can see, we are in round 14 out of 14 in this series. We keep mentioning it. They have 1 drop in oval and 1 drop in road. And I believe Challoner has already taken his drop on the road side with a 0 and has missed none of the oval races, but I think he's had a couple bad results. I'd have to go back and check specifically. Now, they have 3 heat races that we'll start off with. They have 25 laps each. Cautions are on. They're 17, 18, and 18 as far as the number of cars go. The top 9 will advance to the A-main. That is not including the top 2 qualifiers during the week because they qualified as the week went on, not here today before these heats. Those top 2 are, of course, Challoner and Pataska took the top 2 qualifying spots here in the Pacifics. Now, those 9 in each heat, those top 9 in each heat, plus those 2 will advance to the A-main. That'll be 250 laps on that one, a lot longer races. And the grid will be set by the results in those heat races. They do have an incident cap, 33, and each heat and the main has a spare car waiting in the trailer for each of these cars. If they get too much damage and find that they don't have enough time or ability to try and repair it in the pits. There we see Christian Challoner right now circling around. And we've got a bit of a chance to see how things play out in some of the other regions that they have in this series. If you're not familiar with the majors, they have the International, they have the Atlantic, the European, and this is the Pacific region that we're running the last of the day. So Sean, you've watched a little bit. I know you caught some of the Atlantic region. I mean, based on what you saw, what are you expecting in terms of cautions and hard racing? I mean, what's the shape of this going to look like based on what the others have shown us?
Okay, do you want my opinion or no? Honestly, okay. So there have been a few cautions today. Okay, I think in the Euro split there were only like half a dozen cautions, and the Atlantic split had quite a few more than that. We were talking about this in the pre-race. I mean, this track will reward good driving. Over-driving it will punish you severely. Within 10 laps, your tires will go away and you'll be all over the place. You can break the car loose here. And you've got to really be cautious about overdriving the entry. Saw a lot of that actually in the Atlantic split. Overdriving the entry to these turns. Guys a little hungry, a little too early. And it cost them. It got a lot of cars out of shape, and I think that's what led to the cautions. Now, what are we going to see here? Well, I don't know. It's hard to say. I would say based on the practices and the qualifying times that we've seen, I think we had a pretty competitive bunch that they know they got a long night ahead of them. I think once they get to the main, I think everybody should be in pretty good shape. You're going to need a little fuel in this car. You can't make it all the way, Joe, whether they have cautions involved or not. You could try to make it if there are a lot of cautions tonight, but if we get some good long green flag runs, you're probably going to need to put about 6 to 7 gallons worth of extra fuel in the car at some point, and these cars take a while to put fuel into, Joe.
Well, that'll make pit strategy all the more interesting as we watch Jeremy Morrison work his way around. They did this snake split based on the qualifying during the week to determine where the cars are. So they're basically seated so that they're more likely to get to the end. This is one of the teammates of one of our championship contenders, Chris Pence, driving for Ride and Shotgun. And if you're wondering about how things will work out in terms of the championship, this first race, this first heat won't mean as much because, again, Christian Challenger, no matter what, will get through to the A main because of his qualifying during the week. Now, the next race will be more important because that is where Blake Reynolds is running. He needs to not make it into the A main, and Christian Challenger needs to win for Christian to overtake Blake Reynolds in the point standings. So he's going to have to hope for a little bit of luck. And Bill, I think Christian still has a shot, but it's out of his hands at this point.
Well, rumors are that Challenger wanted everybody's in Blake Reynolds' heat, everybody's PayPal address. I'm not sure what that was all about. That's, not sure. But I think Blake Reynolds is going to go out there and just try to get to that A main, and then we're home free from there. Then he can have some fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Once he gets to the A main, of course, then we'll know that the championship is over. A bit of an anticlimactic finish if that's the case, but should give us a really exciting final race since the championship's no longer on the line and it's all down to pride. Brian McGreevy out there as well, just warming up. And Sean, one thing that I've always found really unique about this oval, not just the shape of it, but our viewers who have been watching and watched that lap guide might have noticed the bumps, the curbing down on the low side. How many ovals do we see that on?
Not many, Joe. Now, I will admit there are a lot of local tracks, your local short tracks that do actually have something. As the years have gone on, that's become somewhat popular. Some put tires down there even. And think about hitting one of those and what that could do to upsetting a car. But no, these bumps, listen, if you hit them just right, they really can upset the car and cause some damage. The good news is that if you hit them just right in a good way, okay, you could actually get some speed down there. If you get over them just in time and kind of ride over the center of them, there's some pretty good grip down there to make a move if that's where you want to try and do it, maybe late in the race. Certainly not penalized for going down below that or over it. So look for some of that action maybe. But like I said, yeah, on they're not very, very big, but on the strange occasion you hit it just right, it could do some pretty wicked damage to your car. So best to stay off of them and just keep it to being over them if you're going to take that route less traveled by most drivers.
And with there being various heats, we will have short little breaks. We'll probably stay live here between the heats, and we might have at least one little break here and there. But we want to encourage our viewers to stick around, especially between the last heat and the A main. I'm not going to say what we're doing quite yet, but we will have a special treat for everybody that you really don't want to step away for. So definitely stick around in between the races. Even though there's going to be a little bit of time, we will have some stuff to show you and something very important before we get to the final one. Rob Gall running for Mountain West Motorsports in his traditional Fujifilm paint scheme. And one thing I love about these paint schemes, Bill, is they feel like short track late model paint schemes that we're seeing so far. They're just that slathered in logos, and they look like short track cars. That's
what they do. There's a lot of times they just slap them on there when they don't have quite the finance budget to be quite so artistic. Yeah, these really look good out there today. I'm very impressed. Sean, how do these races? You and I have covered the bootleg races a lot, where they race the SK Modifieds. Are these kind of similar to that kind of car when it's driving it?
Well, Soup, I'm glad you bring that up, because I actually talked to our Bootleg Racing League Modified winner last night, J.R. Shepard, about what he thought, because they run the late model as well, and he actually thinks that since the Season 3 build, when they changed the SK Modified just a bit, that it actually drove a lot more like this car now. And it does share some similar features to it as far as getting around the track. Obviously the power band is a little bit different, but the way you drive the car into the turns and off exit is actually quite similar. the one common thread that will hurt you in the SK modified, and it'll also hurt you in the late model, Bill, is that if you try to drive this car off the right rear too much, then you're going to be spinning within about 10 to 15 laps. And so that's what you've really got to guard against. It's an easy thing to want to do because that's fast and that's great, but it's also a killer on that right rear tire, and it'll get hot quick. Even though the track isn't like steaming hot right now, as the night progresses here, it will warm up, and that right rear will go away on you quick if you burn her up.
Well, the clock is now ticking down on the warm-up, which means we are getting ready to go racing for the first heat here and the final race of the season for the majors. As checkered flag is out and the clock is now down, we get our starting grid. So here they are from the pole. Christian Challenger starts at the top with Paul Slavonic flanking him on the outside of the front row. Brian McGreevy will start in third with Wade Hayes starting in fourth. And fifth, Bill, will be Steve Driscoll.
Get down to row 4. It's Samuel Roush. That's a good name to be out here. Mark Herzog in seventh. The Canadian Vincent Leherbier in 8th with Jimbo Pfeiffer. He's in that Gentleman's Championship in 9th position, sitting second in that one behind Brian Bennett. Michael Thompson in 10th position, and Gustavo Giaffarini in 11th. Sean?
All right, Bill, and then we go to 12th. It's Rob Gall, the Mountain West driver. He's going to start there in 12th. Row 7, Chris Pence. Scott Kokas in 14th there in number 85, the Dog Bear Racing Blue driver. And then your last row, row 8, Jeremy Morrison, Northern Lights White, there in 15th. And Austin O'Neill is with us this evening, starting 16th in number 350.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, and yes, 3 numbers is something common you would see in a local late model race, actually.
The Mustang pace car leading them around on the first of 2 pace laps. 2 names to consider. Mark Herzog and Chris Pence are drivers that actually drive in the bootleg racing series that we cover, we keep mentioning. So they have recent experience at this track in this car. So it'll be fascinating to watch to see if that gives them something a little bit handy over the rest of the drivers. Again, if you've not watched the majors, they run all different types of cars on all different types of tracks. That includes dirt, even, that they've run out here this season for the first time.
Knoxville.
Oh, that was a fun one to call. I enjoyed getting that. I hope we do some more next season. So as the Mustang pace car peels off, Christian Challenger has control of the field, waiting patiently for the green flag. He's a pro driver on the oval side. He should be able to handle himself well, and as he accelerates away, he gets a great jump on Paul Slavonic behind him in the Alliance team. Brian McGreevy slots into third as the rest of the cars try to sort themselves out behind. A nice calm start here, Bill, for the first lap.
Yeah, things are going to settle down a little bit. Then they'll start to pick up as we get to lap 25. I wouldn't worry so much. It was a little slock in some of the other regions. That's usually not the case here for the Pacific majors. These guys know how to race. I don't want to toot our series horn, but I am impressed by what these guys can do.
Yeah, they've certainly surprised us a few times. Is right on board with Brian McGreevy. This is looking back at Steve Driscoll in 4th place. You can see that's where it starts to tighten up because the top 2 ahead of them are stretching away. Christian Challenger up the top just set the fastest lap of the race. Starting to get a little bit single file. Really, the only side-by-side action right now is between Michael Thompson, Jimbo Pfeiffer, Chris Pence, and Gustavo Cianfrani.
Yeah, I'm watching that one between Pfeiffer and Thompson right now. Jimbo getting the best of it here at the moment. Thompson's still trying to figure out a way to get around, and we got our first caution.
Yep, looks like Gustavo and Chris Pence involved in that one on the backstretch. And watch the replay. Looks like Chris was actually getting a little bit loose before this contact here.
Yeah, Joe, he was up on that higher side of the track, and boy, it kind of slowed down a little bit and then started to brake on him.
So we got a few laps in. We just about 4 laps of racing before our first incident. Pence, unfortunately, going to have to come to the pits, watching it from on board the Kinetic Pacific driver, Gustavo, and looks like there was very little he could do right there. As soon as he saw that car spinning, it was just coming down in front.
Yeah, and Chris got some heavy damage on the rear end of that car, Joe.
And he's joined by Gustavo down into the pit lane. Probably a little bit early to take that free repair. So expect Chris Pence going to be sitting here for just a little bit. Meanwhile, the Mustang pace car leads them around. I think we should be able to get doubled up this next time by.
Rob Gall was third on the scene there, and he got a little bit of a nose incident, but he's got the Fuji machine still racing.
And looks like I was wrong on that. They're going to stay single file. So as we come around here on lap 7, first caution of the day here in the final round.
So we believe with Kristen Challenger being the auto transfer as one of the top 2 qualifiers, we think the advance mark would be back to 10th position then if we have this sorted out. That'd be Michael Thompson right now. Boy, there's a lot of pressure to get to the A-main.
Yeah, that's if he stays within the top 10. Now they get doubled up as the lights go off on the pace car. The same front row as we started with. Christian Challenger, Paul Slavonic seem to be the class of the field so far, Sean, as they've really pulled a handy little gap in just a few laps.
They did. Slavonic, it was a little slow off the initial start. Look for him to try and get a better one this time as the lights go out on the pace car. If he can get right up along Challenger, he might have a chance to get around and in front of him here by the completion of that first lap on the restart there. We'll see.
All right, he accelerates away for the second time on the first restart of today. Once again, those top 2 looking very good. We got a battle back for third between McGreevy and Driscoll up on the high side, who gets a great shot off the corner, but too good a one, and he smacks the wall.
Ouch.
So as they get it going, looks like he's not going to be hurting too much from that one, and Driscoll does get into third place. McGreevy slots in behind him. Bit of side-by-side action between Wade Hayes and Vincent LaHerbier. Ooh, check up ahead of them as, looks like almost got into McGreevy.
I think he gave him a little bit of a shot, to be honest with you.
Not too many laps around here, so the drivers towards the back are probably going to be really hustling to get up past that cut line.
Ooh, contact back there. Joe, sorry, that was Jimbo Pfeiffer and Michael Thompson got together. Thompson hit the wall, and then off into Pfeiffer he went.
Right now, the cutoff is at Jimbo Pfeiffer, with Christian Challenger still up in the lead. Pfeiffer, we believe, and Thompson trading places for that. They are on the bubble. Jeremy Morrison wanted to take advantage of.
I'll tell you, the 314 car of Michael Thompson has been on the outside line since we've gone green. Jimbo Pfeiffer keeping that inside if he can.
Yeah. Oh, boy. And they make contact again. Just brief contact.
Sean, are those tires going to go away on Pfeiffer? Trying to keep that inside line for the next 9 laps?
No, he's not going to need it because we've got another caution. We had a car start spinning by itself. It was a 75 of Jeremy Morrison.
Take a look and see what exactly happened to Morrison. He was the one trying to get through.
Would have had it saved except for Austin O'Neill got to him. Give him a little help going around.
Watch on board Austin. And I have some bad news. I was incorrect. It is not the top 10 that are going to get through. It is 9, even with Christian Challenger. Yeah.
Well, Pfeiffer and Thompson better knock that off then and get up there and work on the guy ahead of him.
Yep, that's why we were seeing those two fighting so hard for that 9th spot. And I'm told that if Christian does fall outside of the top 9, it is 8 that advance.
Look at that. That's great to know.
Can we be realistic here, though? I mean, is he going to fall out of the top 9?
It's going to have to be his own doing, obviously, because the way he's been driving. 10 laps to go, and Gustavo Cianfrani is going to get the wave around. Lucky dog for this race. Puts the Kinetic Pacific driver back on the lead lap.
Now, if you don't finish in the top 9 today, you go to the B main. Your night's not over. It's just your broadcast night is over.
Exactly. So fans of drivers who don't make the cut are sorry that we won't have the live broadcast. We do have some drivers who tend to stream their races from their cockpit view. So figure out who is streaming from the drivers that didn't make it and maybe check in there to see who will be able to give you the insight on how the B main is going. We'll try to keep you updated as well from our end on what's happening down there. But the A main is where the big points will be awarded, and we definitely want to watch to see how that winds up, because that will affect various people's championship fights.
Some big names out of it right now. Pfeiffer, Rob Gall, those guys out of the top 9.
Okay, Joe, so real quick before we get restarted. So the Alliance guys, they had a little bit of an initiative going into the final round. They kind of rebranded the cars just a little bit, not the colors, but just a little bit what they did with some of the lettering on the cars, and they're going under the One Alliance banner today. And on the hood of the car, they've got all the names of everybody involved here from the 2018 season. And I don't know, we probably not now get a close-up of it, but maybe some point tonight we will, as we get ready to go back to green flag racing.
We're going to get going with 6 laps to go. Now, they can finish under caution here, so if these drivers have one too close to the checkered flag, we will end under yellow. As the Mustang pace car pulls into the pit lane, Christian Challoner pacing everybody patiently. Ooh, as one of those Alliance cars tried to jump a little bit too soon. I think that was Herzog.
Oh! That was down on the inside, got turned around by Herzog.
That was Brian McGreevy, but no caution because he is out of the racing line. I don't think we should get it as long as he can get it turned around.
Oh, too bad, Joe. They're wrecking behind. No caution yet. Wow, no caution for that.
That was Rob Gall.
That was Rob Gall.
Now they've thrown the caution. And was that... Let's see, was that another incident, or is that for Rob Gall?
He was still in the middle of the track, and one of the cars that had already spun before that was coming around.
Ah. So, yeah, Rob got bounced around, and like you said, as he tries to get turned around, poor Brian McGreevy unwittingly is coming up to cause this caution because he's a car at speed. From Jeremy Morrison, 3 wide around a tight little half-mile track.
Yeah, it just rarely works out, Joe. It really does. The slightest bit of contact, that's all you need to do is just lift one tire up just a fraction off the pavement, and that's it. The car's going around or into the one that's right next to it, just like it happened in that replay there.
So here's the question: are we going back green? We've already had at least 1 or 2 laps of caution.
I don't think so.
Jimbo Pfeiffer's saying no, we're not, as he's sitting in 9th right now.
We do have everybody on the lead lap. That is a good point that our director made. So maybe the light bar goes out here. We'll see.
Yeah, it would have to go out here because this will be 2 laps to go. So we'll find out soon enough. As they creep up to you, you can see the start-finish line. Lights are on right now. Do they go off?
They do not.
Oh, sad ending to the first heat race of the day. And we're going to have to go through the results, unfortunately, a little bit early. So it's going to be Christian Challoner winning it. Steve Driscoll advances in 2nd. Paul Slavonic will be 3rd, and Mark Herzog in 4th. Samuel Roush finishes 5th with Wade Hayes coming home in 6th and getting through. Vincent L'Herbier as well in 7th. Michael Thompson in 8th, and Jimbo Pfeiffer, the last of the cars, is going to make it through in 9th. Then it's Austin O'Neill, Chris Pence, Jeremy Morrison, Scott Kukas, Gustavo Cianfrani, Brian McGreevy, and Rob Gall, who will not make it through. We're going to take a quick break here as we reset and get ready to go to the next heat race, which is starting momentarily. We'll be back in a moment here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Welcome back. We're in Heat 2 of the Majors Myrtle Beach 400. And we'll get one more lap here. Your starting grid will be Dallas Pataska on the pole. Matthew Funhorse starting second with Clark Archer in third. Blake Reynolds will finish row 2 and 4th with Ray Partridge in 5th and Bob Beltrami in 6th. Then in row 4, you've got William Fletcher in 7th, Steve Paulison in 8th, Tom Dryling in 9th, and then Kinchlow in 10th. 11th will be Drew Lalonde, followed by Kevin Froese in 12th, Jeremy Tester 13th, Matt Gelder 14th, George Angers 15th. Rounding out the field is Ron McPherson in the final spot. Just in time, we're going to see the green take away with Dallas Pataska leading the field. He's going to be the next one to automatically get through. So it is either 8 or 9 that are going to make it through on this one. As Pataska gets a fantastic jump. Matthew Thunhorse following him through into second. A battle for third between Blake Reynolds and Clark Archer. And Blake uses the high side to get ahead.
Ooh, and boy, Partridge almost gets hit from behind there. Or I'm sorry, Partridge almost brought the pain from behind to Archer. He had to check up.
You're watching the riding shotgun cars and noticing that they look a little bit different from from Blake Reynolds. Well, that's because Blake has been highlighted by his team to make sure that our fans can tell where the championship contender is sitting. Right now, that is third place. Mostly single file through the field as the last of them get 1-to-1. Matt Gelder just ahead of Kevin Froese now.
So is that color, is that paint scheme, is that something like the glowing puck that NBC tried with the NHL? Or maybe Fox. No, I think right.
Yeah,
I think
it was Fox.
Yeah.
I like that glowing puck, by the way. Ooh, bit of contact back there with Clark Archer and Ray Partridge. He gets a nose end down to the inside. They're battling in front of Bob Beltrami. This is for fourth place. Partridge is going to get it.
Well, I think Partridge wanted it for a while there, Joe, and he sent a warning shot several laps ago and finally pulls it off. Here comes the salami. Watch out. Bob Beltrami now looking to maybe get one more spot here.
While that was happening, there was a swap of places between Kinchlow and Paulison. That is important because Paulison's now in the bubble spot in a 9th, and he will advance while Paulison will not, and he's getting passed by one more.
Kinch trying to hang on here, man. Here comes Drew Lalonde.
down to the inside, side by side, and this is not necessarily for them to advance against. Drew and Kinchlow are both out of it. They're trying to get up to the number 58 of Paulison. Laps are ticking by very quickly in this short heat race.
Yeah, Kinchlow made a stab at Paulson and had to get out of the throttle, and that's what let Lalonde get on the inside, and that cost him a ton of time. Good news for Paul.
Certainly is. Oh, drifting up a little bit, and more contact made as Drew Lalonde completes the pass. Finally, Lynn Kinchlow now tries to duck down to deny the opportunity to Jeremy Tester.
Well, he had to close the door on somebody there. He left it open for 2 spots, and it's cost him a shot here, Joe.
Gelder trying to see if he can do anything with Tester, using the high side to get a shot off the corner. Can't quite clear him before 3 and 4, though. Oh, looks like we're going to have a caution as Drew Lalonde goes around and gets absolutely blown into by Testar.
Yeah, Jeremy had nowhere to go there, but you're going to see here on the replay, I think you got a little bit of help, Joe. Yeah.
Around. Might have been netcode, though.
I look like netcode on my screen. I'm going to give Kinchlow the pass on that one in the 181.
Well, this does not change our drivers who make it through, though. That is currently still Pataska, Reynolds, Thunhorse, Partridge, Archer, Beltrami, Dreiling, Fletcher, and Paulison. And once we finish with this replay, I think we have our next points ready to go for this season. Bill, do you know what we have up next that we're going to go through?
I'm going to see with you. I'm going to think it's probably going to be the Constructors' Championship as soon as that comes up, and there it is. And, you know, there is no changes in any of those top 5. When you get to round 14, pretty much people are cemented in their place. I think the big news will be, let's see what Kinetic Pacific can do next season, but clearly the class of all those teams, Alliance Racing with some big names up there, Callisto, Bennett, Clement, Thunhurst, and I even think Pfeiffer now in that group as well.
Dog Bear also made themselves known, and Unorthodox Racing down there in 4th were one that we did not expect to be as powerful as they were, with names like Gelder, McGreevy, Kinchlow, Warling. Warling, of course, you know, taking 3rd in the championship. Definitely a great job by the number of their drivers. So as we are almost doubled up, I think the lights are still on because the driver's still not quite double file here.
Just to follow up on those teams, Riding Shotgun too as well. They got off to an incredibly slow start. They made a nice run at the back of the season there, so look forward again to coming back next season and see what they can do.
Yeah, and they've been eager to try and prove themselves and what they can do. I think they felt a little bit hurt that they didn't get the credit that they thought maybe they deserved, and they really do deserve credit with the incredible talent they have on their team.
I think their paint schemes alone should be worth at least 100 points.
You'll have to pitch that one to Mike and see what he thinks of that.
They do it in ice skating, you know, artistic merit.
Hey, listen. I won several best appearing ribbons when I was a kid. So.
There you go.
All right, well, let's see who wins the ribbon for the win here in this heat race, because right now Dallas Pataska is still up at the front, and Blake Reynolds follows him up into that 2nd place. Matthew Thunhorse slots into 3rd. Ray Partridge as well, down to the low side in 4th. Then we got a side-by-side battle between Clark Archer and Bob Beltrami.
Kinchlow took it in way on the top side. He's now into the transfer position. Paulson is not.
Wow, he's been wanting that one.
Yeah, what's going on in front of him, though? Watch out. We got a car blinking there. I think William Fletcher's struggling with the connection a little bit, maybe.
As they start to sort themselves out again, as Bill said, Kinchlow is the one on the bubble, and Paulison right now trying to get that back. On the high side, Matt Gelder looking to see if he can poke and prod and find some grip up there. At this point, he's got nothing to lose. He's at the tail of this train, and he is out of the A-main if he sits where he is. He's almost making it work. little bit of side
Gelder gets
by
it,
side
Paulson.
contact. This has felt like short track racing so far.
Oh, yeah.
Great stuff from the drivers. Elbows out. Nobody's willing to give an inch. But fair racing all the same. Up at the front still, Pataska leading the way with Blake Reynolds in second and Matthew Thunhorst in third. And we got a caution.
Oh, got another one. Yes, Joe. It looks like it was Matt Gelder getting around. And it was just in front of Kevin Frace. Did we agree on Frace or Fruce?
Freeze?
Freeze?
I don't know. We'll have to get him in the booth and ask him.
He had to throw that O in there. And it got us all messed up.
Yeah, and that was Matt all on his own. Gelder, unfortunately, spinning completely around. And you talked to me a little bit about this before the race, that the drivers seem to be kind of taking it in a little bit too deep, especially in turn one.
Yep. And when you do, that's, you know, some guys take the approach of just kind of stabbing at the pedal real quickly. Well, you know what? If you misjudge the amount of that stab any more than about 30 or 40%, then you're probably going to loop it like that. And once it starts to go, it's really hard to reel in.
All right, our second caution. This one looking a little bit nicer here in the second heat of the Myrtle Beach 400. It's the final round of the majors. Should get going relatively soon here. Hopefully we can stay green to the end. And we're getting information it is Freeze.
Right. The Team Canada driver A goes by Freeze, Kevin Freeze.
Makes
Mr.
sense.
Freeze. To you, sir.
Yes, Mr. Freeze from Canada. All right, there we go.
Interesting dynamic back in the transfer position. Last time when we went green, it was Paulson in ninth on the inside with Kinchelo on the outside. Kinchelo took it really in deep on the outside and made it work. Well, now the roles are reversed. We'll see if Stephen learned anything from Lynn.
And as we head around 3 and 4, that is the spot where we really need to keep an eye on. Again, if you're wondering about why we're not watching the leaders, it's because, well, for one, Dallas Pataska will absolutely go through to the A main. And two, we want to know who is the last car that is going to sneak through. And I think we might get a one-lap shootout here.
Woo-hoo! If you're a Dallas Pataska fan, as I am, you can go ahead and get to see him not only in the majors, which are ending, but also now on Monday nights, as he's doing a little double duty, racing in the Autobahn sports car group, whatever that's called there.
Autobahn Motorcar Sport.
Autobahn
Motorcar Group Sports Car Challenge.
Thank you.
Oh, darn, I thought Soup nailed it.
The AMGSC is the easy way to remember it. So
hashtag.
lights are off. And we are indeed going to get a one-lap shootout. Who is going to feel gutsy? Again, we are not going to get a caution then because iRacing does not do a caution flag once the white flag has flown. So this is going to be some frantic stuff. It is basically foot to the floor until you see that checkered flag waving at you. As they accelerate away, Dallas Pataska gets himself out to the front. What about that bubble position? Lynn Kinchelo sitting in it right now.
Go get him, Kinch.
Bob
they're stacking up in front of him, Joe.
Yeah. Bob Beltrami could have maybe slotted back, but as they come across the line, Pataska is going to be the first. William Fletcher falls back into ninth. Can he hold it to the line? And he does. And they are going to be the last one through. So your finishing order is Dallas Pataska winning this heat. Blake Reynolds finishes in second. Matthew Thunhorst third, with Ray Partridge finishing fourth. Tom Dreiling takes a fifth place. Clark Archer sixth. Bob Beltrami seventh. And Lynn Kinchelo in eighth. William Fletcher finishes in the final transfer spot, ninth. Then our drivers that didn't make it are Steve Paulson, George Angus, Kevin Freese, Matt Gelder, Ron McPherson, Jeremy Testar, and Drew Lalonde. With that, we're going to take another quick break. We'll come back with the next race and some more points here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Welcome back to Myrtle Beach. We're getting ready to watch the third heat here today, and this is going to be your starting order for the Myrtle Beach 400 heat number 3. Lionel Callisto on the pole with Travis Worling starting in second. Taft Baldwin begins the race in third. Then it's Adam Young starting in fourth, Wayne Hutchison in fifth, and Brian Bennett in P6. Nick Kuhn starts seventh with Dick Mueller following in eighth. Bryce Robertson starts in ninth. He'll be rounded out in the top 10 by Marcus Tracy. Brian Barnes starts in 11th with Jeff Schmeier in 12th. Then it's Cameron Dance starting 13th, Mark Redeker in 14th, and James Stacy in 15th. Adam Fassapani in 16th, Ernie Ludwig 17th, and Daryl Slack rounds out our 18-car field. One more pace lap here before we go green for 25 laps, and the final one to determine who our drivers will be in the A-Main, the 250-lap race here at Myrtle Beach. It's the last round of the majors. Lionel Callisto will have control of the field now that the Mustang pace car has peeled off. He's waiting, he's waiting. Still hasn't gone quite yet. Now he accelerates away. He gets himself a nice little jump. Travis Worling, in fact, is caught sleeping a little bit because down to the inside, Taft Baldwin trying to peel that second place away from him. We've seen that bottom line doesn't seem to like to get off the corner, though, and once again, he is not fast enough to try to complete a pass.
Joe, in the back of the field, Cameron Dance got a slow start on that green flag. It stacked everybody up behind him. That's the rest of the field.
Oh, no!
93.
Dance involved in it, as Bryce Roberts is as well.
Mark Redeker.
Not out. No caution yet.
Ernie Ludwig. Daryl Slack. Let's take a look at the replay real quick. Not sure why we didn't get a caution.
That all started with Bryce Roberts in the 93. He's the one that got loose, and everybody started to make an evasive move. There he is on the bottom. And, wow. So many cars involved that had no caution, so we're green. Let's stay with it.
Well, the front of the pack was not affected. Callisto now stretching his gap out to about 1.7 seconds. We got a battle for fourth place. Baldwin goes on the inside of Travis Worling and gets it done.
Jeff Schmeier giving a bump draft to Dick Mueller, who's stuck on the outside. That's the transfer position.
That's the one we want to watch, and it's side by side between Mueller and Schmeier at the moment. Dick is doing his best to try and get up through to the A-Main, but he's starting to lose out as now he is fully behind the car of Schmeier.
These guys benefit when Bryce Roberts had that spin. They were able to vulture those positions.
And only one car is taken to the pit lane. It's Mark Redeker. Everybody else still going. On screen, Dick Mueller not giving it up.
No, he's not, Joe. Mueller's putting on a lot of pressure at the moment. Schmeier just trying to hang on, and that car broke loose a couple times there. And look at this, Mueller able to make the pass down low.
Does he have the momentum off the corner? It looks like he might, and yes, he completes the pass. Now Schmeier's got to worry about Brian Barnes, who's really been hustling. That popsicle car is thinking maybe he could get into the mix, back up to the high side for Schmeier, seeing if he could do something on Dick Mueller, but it doesn't work this time through 1 and 2. Getting close to already halfway through this last heat race. This is our driver's last chance to get into the big show. Down to the inside now with Brian Barnes, seeing if he could demote Jeff Schmeier. He's got a nose in, but can he get his leg through the door? Jeff is fighting hard up on that high side, and this is costing them all kinds of time to the car they really need to pass, which is Dick Mueller. Meanwhile, got a battle up at the front. Sean, go ahead.
Yeah, it's good, man. Worling is holding off Hutchison and Taft Baldwin right now. It's Baldwin, honestly, down there on the bottom that's wreaking all the havoc, making this difficult, especially for Wayne Hutchison right now. Oh, boy. And it looks like finally Worling's been able to maybe drop them in the mirror just a little bit, is that they've gone to side by side every stretch of the track.
And Sean, I would think that you wouldn't want to get too risky with how hard you're racing here up at the front, because even though it determines your grid spot for the A main. If you run into each other, you could screw yourself.
You know what? One spot, I think I'm going to drop in exactly what Wayne just did. Said, you know what? I'm going to chill out here for a moment. We're sitting pretty good here. He got Adam Young in the mirror by about a half a second. That might not last long, but
lap traffic is coming in place. Sorry to cut you off because it looks like Brian Bennett had to really dodge around the car of Ernie Ludwig, now going a lap down, trying his best to stay out of the way.
Another one of our Team Canada drivers there, Ernie a little bit off pace. They're getting around him. They're doing it now. There goes Adam Young.
And I tell you what, Dick Mueller's been making steady progress. He's passed Marcus Tracy, who's now in the bubble position, and Brian Barnes is trying to change that because the number 4 up on the high side, seeing if he can put the number 83 out of the big show.
Have a popsicle, Joe.
This battle is not cooling off, and with less than 10 laps to go now.
Look at that top side.
Oh, no, contact behind him.
Caution is out, and it's Jeff Schmeier who gets turned around by the likes of James Stacy. Take a look at that replay. These are drivers who do have reason to fight hard, and Stacy, he did not stab the pedal hard when it came to braking into the first corner. Look at this. Long ways back, just into that rear quarter panel in the 667. Finds himself facing the wrong way. From off the roll bar here and realized a little too late that that car was heading on a trajectory right into his cohort.
Okay, so I have a funny 667 story if you want to hear it.
Okay, I'm
this is legit. This is legitimate, really. It's regarding a T-shirt. So, okay, you guys know me. I'm a fan of the band Iron Maiden. All right, so they used to have a T-shirt. One of their concert shirts that on the front said 666, the number of the beast, and on the back it said 667, the bloke next door. Anyway, they're a British band, so it's kind of funny. Yeah. So I've been sitting through this whole broadcast, and that's all I can see in my head is that old T-shirt. So
I figured maybe 667 would be the address for heck, right?
Yeah, right.
All right, don't think we're going to get a one-lap shootout, but it's going to be very few laps here at the end. And I believe, well, this is our first caution, so do we have our points to pull up here?
We're going to talk about the sportsmen, the guys who don't always get to be in our broadcast. Dick Mueller, though, he's here today. He's having a great run. He's going to win this thing, I think. 101 looks safe. Nick Kuhn. James Stacy is hoping to get into the transfer position right now as he sits in 10th. Rob Power and Mark Redeker.
So a lot of these drivers that we see right here have something on the line in the championship. Got a little bit of playful contact going on between Brian Bennett and Lionel Callisto. They are teammates, though, if I'm not mistaken.
Let me tell you something. Callisto was picking him up and putting him down. I know it doesn't matter, how far ahead you finish from second, but keep that in mind when these guys go to the A main. That number 2 may come home number 1.
Well, and it'll determine, again, where he starts in that A main. Obviously, our top qualifiers will get the front row, but from 5th place, I believe we should have Callisto. I think that's how it'll work out. I'm sure Mike will come in and correct me here. They will get double file, so it'll be a 4-lap race to the checkers here in the final heat race for the Myrtle Beach 400. For our viewers who are wondering why it's the Myrtle Beach 400 on a half-mile track that has 250 laps, well, we're not entirely sure. There was some
disappointed me.
Yeah, well, there was some debate. There was some debate in the forums, but nobody really had an answer, unfortunately. The green flag is out, so let's see if we can go green all the way to the end. As Lionel Callisto, another good jump from him. And Brian Bennett under threat here as down to the inside, Travis Worling giving it his best to try and peel that second place away to get himself a better grid spot.
Oh, trouble at the back.
That'll do it.
Yep, that's the end of this one. That was Marcus Tracy getting turned around, and he's able to actually get going very quickly, so that's disappointing.
He got into Bryce Roberts as he was trying to recover. And Roberts is going to kind of finish him off there, unfortunately.
Was Tracy actually within the transfer?
No,
positions?
he was really close. He was working to get there. That's just kind of the nature of the beast. Their time was running out. It was an all or nothing thing for him.
Yeah, no surprise there. So watch on board from Roberts. This will be heading into turn 4. Ooh. Oh, actually it was before Roberts. The Dog Bear car looked like he got a little loose with some contact from someone from the inside. Not sure who that was, but that car was all kinds of wiggling around even before he ran into Roberts. So we're going to get the white flag this time by. You see, we do still get a lucky dog on this one. That will be Ernie Ludwig getting back onto the lead lap. Not that it means much, as he is going to finish in 13th and outside of the transfer positions. As we watch them work their way across the tri-oval portion on the front stretch. Lionel Callisto, the outgoing champion. His crown is not left quite yet. Blake Reynolds did make it through. Actually, I take that back. Since Reynolds made it through, that unless he, I guess, does not start that last race, then I think that is a possibility, but that's grasping straws there. Somebody go and check to make sure there's a guard on the telephone wire outside of his house right now.
We talked about James Stacy a second ago as we looked at the sportsman standings. James was able to sneak up into 9th, so he's going to get the transfer spot. The popsicle car, it's beat up, it's banged, it's melding, it's dripping, but the number 4, Brian Barnes, going to transfer as well.
Indeed, let's go through all of our transfer positions. Lionel Callisto took the win in this heat. Travis Worling managed to get 2nd. Brian Bennett in 3rd to round out the podium, with Taft Baldwin finishing in 4th. Wayne Hutchison gets a top 5 with Adam Young. Bill taking home 6th despite having to rush home and being unsure if he'd even make this race.
Nick Kuhn, Brian Barnes, and James Stacy in the transfer position. Jeff Schmeier, Bryce Roberts, Marcus Tracy, Ernie Ludwig, Dylan Slack, Cameron Dance, oh, too sad for him, Adam Fedconi, I'm going to try that one right, Fessa Ponte on that one, Dick Mueller, not a good day for him, and Mark Redeker, they all go to the B-Main.
And with that, we're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We're going to come back with a very special surprise, so stick around because there's a very important announcement on the line. Welcome back to Myrtle Beach. Here we're getting ready for the A main, and while the grid is being set and sorted out, we have a little bit of time, and so the organizers decided to do something special. I'm joined here by Adam Young, John King, and Wayne Hutchison, who are getting ready to reveal, wait for it, drum roll please, the 2019 Majors schedule. Would you guys like to let us know what we're in store for?
Sure, I've got the schedule right here. 14 races, once again, 2019, just like the last few years. And we will once again kick off the season in Daytona for 2 races. Daytona 2.4 hours, followed by the Daytona 500. No big surprises there. And we're going to go back, race 3, we're going to go back to Florida again for Sebring, 2 hours there with IMSA cars. The big change after that is something we haven't done before, super late models at Bristol. This is the U.S. Short Track Nationals. So should be quite interesting on the high banks there. We'll be heading after that with GT3 cars to Nürburgring, and then to our traditional Indy 500 with the IR18 Indy car. You'll notice no Charlotte in there. After Indy, we're going to do Le Mans, 2.4 hours, followed by another IndyCar race, this time at the street circuit in Detroit. That one could be quite interesting. Second half of the season will be GT3s at Spa, traditional race for us, and then the 410 winged sprints at Eldora. So the King's Royal there. Now our second NASCAR race of the year will be late August at Michigan, the newly repaved Michigan track. Followed by my favorite race on the schedule, the Tony Bettenhausen 200 Lotus 49s at the Milwaukee Mile.
He's still there.
Yes, at the Milwaukee Mile. Recreating the 1963 Tony Bettenhausen 200. The first race ever won, first champ car race ever won by a rear engine car. And finish off the season, Bathurst 500 with the V8 supercars, and then the Brazilian GP with the McLaren F1. So that's the schedule for 2019.
I like this schedule a lot, and not just because of the Lotus 49. That is great stuff, Wayne. I have to imagine that there's a lot of deliberation about this, especially with things like Charlotte leaving the schedule. Do any of you guys want to talk a little bit about how you came to your decision on putting this one together?
Well, sure. We, all of us, Mike, John, Adam, myself, we all kind of put our preliminary schedules together, a spreadsheet, and kind of chatted back and forth over various messaging media for a few days, trying to figure out what would work, what wouldn't. We did. It was a struggle to drop Charlotte in the World 600 or the Coke 600 or whatever it's called these days. But we've done it every year, and we thought it was time for a break and do something a little different with the NASCAR cars. We had a little bit of a debate about the Lotus 49 versus having maybe Lotus 79s on a oval track, but the 49 seemed to be the popular pick there. I think it was at least 3-1. So yeah, it was just we want to cover every type of racing as much as we can, and make it as challenging as we can, and at the same time, have these major events, have them in the right time of the year when they normally occur. So that's some of the criteria we use to put the schedule together.
Well, that sounds amazing, and I can tell you that the 49 will put on a good show. It is a lot of fun to drive from experience. And Adam, I believe you were going to tell us something as well.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I'm excited about the schedule, and Wayne's giving me a little too much credit, since I'm stepping away from the committee for next year, for helping with the schedule for next year. But I'm excited about it, and I really think that I think a lot of people are going to be apprehensive a little bit about the Lotus 49, but I'm encouraging everybody to give it a shot, because that is a whale of a car to drive, and it's going to be so much fun at Milwaukee. So looking forward to that one. And I think there's also going to be some people that might be a little bit upset maybe about the Coke 600 Charlotte not being on there, but let me tell you what, it'll be back. And I think that the events that we have in its place are going to be more than make up for it. And I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, we're sad to see you leave, but it's completely understandable, especially with how much is involved in this. But John King coming in. John, it's great to have you on board. Obviously, with all that the organization you do with the Kinetic team, I feel like you're a great person to put on this team. What are you expecting coming forward?
Just more of the same, I guess. It's been a really hectic year because this is the first time I've been involved in the majors, and I've been doing helping with the organisation of this, running Kinetic, and I've been racing, of course, and so it's been mad, but a lot of fun.
Well, you guys have given us a lot of fun. Thank you to Adam, to John, and to Wayne for all your hard work, and also for being willing to come on over and give us this wonderful surprise of what to expect next season. We're going to talk to a few of the drivers now. Do you guys have anything to say before we let you go?
Yeah, I just want to say, all the drivers out there, don't expect too much changes in next year as far as any kind of major changes. We had an 87% satisfaction rate on a lot of the questions. And personally, I want to thank Mike, Wayne, and John for putting up with me, first of all, this year, but also for being great members of the committee. And the majors is in great hands, guys. I'm really excited for next year, and I'll still be around, obviously. So.
Well, that's great stuff, guys. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, John. Thank you, Wayne. We are going to clear out the booth because it is very tight in here with everybody in. So up first, I think, do we have a plan on we have two drivers waiting. Let's do Kinchlow first, and then we will talk to Ray Partridge. So first, as we pull in Lynn Kinchlow and get him ready to talk to. Lynn was in the first split, I believe, if I wasn't mistaken, or was it the second one? He was in the second one. Excuse me. Here we go. Got my information in front of me. Lynn, it's been a bit hectic for us, so excuse us if we get a few things wrong. What was that second split like for you guys out there? Seemed a little bit cleaner than the first one. Oh, Mike isn't on currently for you, Lynn. We'll give you a second to make sure that we got your sound working.
He knows how to use this. I knew he does.
Yeah, yes. We've talked to Lynn before. Lynn's a good guy. So we wait for him to get that.
Check.
There we go. Now
Lynn's
there
live. We go. Yeah, my headset decided it wanted to do a firmware update right before, and I'm like, hell no. So anyways, second split. It seemed overall really clean. Only 2 cautions for approximately 8 laps, I want to say. Unfortunately, I seem to have gotten involved in one of them. Not truthfully sure what happened on that one, because like on my end, I didn't see any incident points out of that one. So it's unfortunate to get a moment like that, especially at a crucial point in the field, the transfer spot. So hopefully we do a little bit better in the feature race, whichever one I end up in. Quick shout outs, I guess, real quick. Want to shout out sponsors, RC Sparks, SimAbility, Sim Adaptive Racing Controls, my boss, Matt Gelder. We've thrown extra life back on the car for this race and just want to shout that out. So hopefully that goes good.
Well, one more question before we let you go. Unfortunately, we have a few people we want to talk to. Since you were in those transfer spots, obviously you had a lot of pressure. What did it feel like knowing that you had to move up to try and get through?
War, absolute war. You had to be cutthroat from point A to point B, and that's where everything gets right up in the. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop out of here because I know you guys got a lot of people to get to, and not a lot of time before the A main comes up.
All right, that was Lynn Kinchlow, who thanks for coming to talk to us from that second split. Next up, we have Blake Reynolds, who did make it through for sure, and Bill is going to be talking to him.
I'll get to him real quick as the cars are beginning to go out and put practice in for the A main. Blake, congratulations, I think, are in order. Unless there's some penalty points that I don't know about, I think you should be in pretty good shape.
Yeah, I believe I have to finish 22nd to get the championship here if Christian were to win, and that's probably highly likely. It's Christian, so I think I'm starting 6th here. I had a really fast car in that heat. Taft Baldwin, man, I am so glad to have him on riding shotgun. This is his bread and butter, and we have quite the piece for tonight. So I'm really happy with what we got under the car, and I'm really ready to go possibly get this championship.
Are you guys racing the same setup, or do you know if people are making changes for their own personal taste?
Well, for that late afternoon, we had our qualifying setup, which we qualified in the late afternoon, and then the A main was in the race. We split up the practicing, like every other practice session for the majors was night, late afternoon, night, late afternoon. So we had our setup for the late afternoon, and then we feel pretty good about our night set too. But it should be able to finish ahead of 20 seconds, so I'm not too worried.
Stay out of trouble. Get yourself a crown. Good luck.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
That was Blake Reynolds, who is very, very close to winning this championship after coming so close last season as well. This is probably going to feel good. Let me double check to see if we're going to do any more interviews. As you can see, we've already turned the lights on. I think, why don't we pull Ray Partridge back in here, since we were talking to him a little bit earlier. Ray, it's obviously now nighttime in the session. You took part in the second split there. We got to talk a little bit to Lynn. Now that the lights have changed, the sun has gone down. What are your thoughts about the track conditions with it? Is it a little bit cooler? Do you think it'll drive differently?
Yeah, I believe so. I'm looking forward to it. We got a little double feed going on here.
Apologies for that. We're getting a little bit of a bad connection with you as well. So apologies to Ray. We're going to have to pass on him. We can. It's still, unfortunately, really, really fuzzy on our end. So we're going to have to close up on Ray and do a real quick one with Jared Morgan before we go green here. Jared Morgan now in here. He raced in the Majors European split. Is that correct, Jared?
Yes, sir, it is.
Welcome to the booth here on the Pacific region. We heard there was quite a few cautions over there in the European. How does the heats compare that we saw just now to what you experienced over in that region?
If everything holds true between the two of us, you're going to see a demo derby in the main.
Well, let's hope that's not the case. It's the last one of the season. I don't know if you were watching and heard the schedule for what we have for for 2019, but obviously a lot of things have been replaced. Do you have any thoughts on some of what we're going to see for next season?
I'm going to miss the World 600, I'll tell you that. That was always my favorite race of the year we've always done. But I understand we need to make a little change here and there, so I'm kind of excited to see the super lates at Bristol. I was actually hoping we'd see that at some point after, if you remember in 2014, my first short track race with the majors was Bristol in the truck. Wound up doing good there, so hoping I can capitalize and redeem myself from that bad race back there. I haven't driven the Lotus 49. I don't even have it in my garage, so that's going to be a real challenge, I understand.
I think you'll have fun with it. It is a bit challenging. It's going to be very different from every car you've ever driven, I can tell you that. But once you get the handle on how it behaves, it's wicked fun with the throttle control and the way that you can slide it around. Looks like we're getting very close to the green flag, so we're going to let you go. Jared, thanks for coming and talking to us. Give a little bit of insight on what to expect in this race. And I believe we have a couple more points ready to go here. Bill, what's the update on that?
Let's see, I think it's time to look at the old timers, if memory serves me correctly. Now, you know, Brian Bennett not only is doing really well in the Pacific Legends here, but he's also doing quite well in just the overall championship as well, inside the top 10. Look at all those. When it comes to old timers, they're all Americans. Jimbo Pfeiffer, Brian Barnes. The Popsicle Machine did make this A main. Wayne Hutchison and Bob the Salami Peltrami down there. So good to see all those guys doing well. And we hope that they stay healthy and can come back in 2019.
And that is the update for the Legends. Do we have any more after that, actually? Do we have anything for the cautions in here?
I think that's enough. I mean, if we could, I would like to, though, I may just bring up, we don't have a graphic for it, I may talk about my favorite championship, the Governor's Cup. They won't let me talk about it all season long. I'm going to bring it up on, like, the third caution.
All right. We'll let you do that just for old times. It's the last race.
Love the governors.
What are they going to do? They're going to fire you, Bill?
Could happen.
So we'll fight them. We got to keep you in the booth all the way till the end of these 250 laps. So you can see some of our drivers that are going to take part here that have transferred through. Jimbo Pfeiffer, one of the regulars in this series, has been for a long time. He knows his sim racing. He works in sim racing. He works for Turn 10, tests out the motorsports, the Forza Motorsports games as a tester, a game tester. So he is very familiar with
that can't be a
part.
real job. That's like being
a game tester is a real
ice
job.
cream taster, man.
It's not. Well, it's not exactly what you think, Bill.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to be a software tester. Come on, man.
It's more serious than you'd imagine. It's not like I'm sure some of those out there, some viewers who watch television saw the commercials of become a video game tester. It's not like that.
Okay. All right.
That's the two guys high-fiving.
It's all about writing test plans and
All right.
You look for bugs, yes.
You're bringing me down now.
Sorry to be a Debbie Downer there, but just about a minute to go here before we get started for the final race of the season. It is Christian Challener's last opportunity to try to take the championship. He has been the most winningest driver this season, surprising against the likes of Blake Reynolds. Sean, we talked a little bit about the sun going down, and do you think that'll save the tires a little bit, or will it actually make it worse for them?
Okay, so the track is as cool right now, actually, as it's been in any of the sessions that we've had previously. Okay, so the opposite effect is going to reign true here. What's going to happen is, Joe, is you're going to get a lot of rubber buildup on the track. And what's that going to do? Well, that's going to bring the marbles. So the racing lines are actually going to narrow just a bit. The car is maybe going to tighten up a little bit, yes, but it'll get free a lot quicker if you get out of the racing group. So you've got a couple things working against you and really only one thing working for you, and that is, you've got a little bit more grip. You'll maybe get a little bit more distance out of the tires. In fact, some teams, I heard, a big rumor I heard, in fact, that some teams may take a stab at not taking any tires at all, Joe, and I don't know if that's real smart, but we'll see if anybody decides to go that route as the checkered flag has flown on the warm-up session.
Indeed. The rumor mill might be churning, but soon it's going to be the engines churning around the track. So your starting order for the A-main is going to be Christian Challener on the pole. Dallas Pataska starts on the outside of that front row. Lionel Callisto will be starting in third. Blake Reynolds with P4. Travis Warling, third in the championship, fifth on the grid here today. Steve Driscoll will be starting sixth with Matthew Thunhorst in seventh. Then in P8, it'll be Brian Bennett. Paul Slavonic starts ninth, and Taft Baldwin will be P10. Bill?
Got trouble with his mic, but he's going to be fast. That's Ray Partridge at 11th, inside of Mark Herzog. The next row is populated by Samuel Roush and Wayne Hutchinson. Tom Dreiling goes 15th. All ribbons and curls in the Sweet 16 spot. Adam Young. Wade Hayes behind him. Clark Archer 19th and 20th. The Canadian Vincent Leabert, he has a win earlier this season. The Salami, Bob Beltrami in 20th. Sean?
All right, Soup. And then it's row 11. Nick Kuhn, Dog Bear Racing Red. Brian Barnes in the number 4. Mountain View Motorsports, row 12. There's our buddy Lynn Kinchlow in Unorthodox Racing number 181. Michael Thompson starting 24th. Elite West Racing 1. Row 13, James Stacy and the aforementioned Jimbo Pfeiffer for One Alliance this evening.
Well, our fans who are into video games in general might be aware of the charity Extra Life. Well, it sounds like Matthew Thunhorst is racing for Extra Life and streaming for that. So he's raising money for sick kids. If you want to go help that, he is streaming right now. But stick around for us, but definitely give some money because that is a very worthy cause, and we want to encourage everybody to get involved where they can. There's a lot of causes that we care about here in sim racing. Right now, the cause that our drivers care about is getting to the checkered flag. Christian Challener has control of the field with the Mustang pace car having peeled into pit lane. He exits out of turn 4 and accelerates immediately with the green flag waving in the final round of the majors. Second place, Dallas Pataska on the high side has Lionel Callisto, our outgoing champion, trying to peel it away from him. Can't quite clear him, but he's got a nose ahead, Bill.
The betting window's still open. Get some money down on the 2-car to win. Callisto is going to be fast as he gets second all to himself. There is a battle back for 4th position. On the inside is Warling. He sits 3rd in the points. He's being challenged on the outside. That is Blake Reynolds.
Yep, Blake Reynolds going to peel that 4th away from Travis Warling. They go single file there. Very few cars side by side now. Driscoll and Matthew Thunhorst are currently duking it out for 6th position as they swing it down into 1. Sean, if you're Blake Reynolds, how easy do you take it? There's only 4 cars that you need to finish ahead of to take the championship. So pressure's pretty far off, I would think.
You know what it is? What I want to do is I want to get away from Travis Warling because he's the one that could ruin my race right now if I'm not careful. So Blake's got to just stay focused on what's in front of him here, keep Warling behind him, and then just not be too over-aggressive to try and get around those 3 in front of him. Not critical at the moment. There's a long way to go in this race as we've gotten 5 laps in already.
Blake Reynolds, 2 words, 2 syllables. Spare car.
Yes, that's a good point we haven't brought up yet. In fact, most everybody's single file already, so most of those spare cars aren't quite needed at the moment. Most of that action is in the back of the field, where if we jump back to guys like Jimbo Pfeiffer and Brian Barnes, they're battling side by side behind the Salami. Also some action ahead of them between Nick Kuhn and Adam Young.
I'm telling you, boys, a lot of ill feelings coming into this one about this being a caution fest. I don't think so. Let me knock on this actual piece of imitation wood I'm sitting under. I think we're going to be okay.
Well, let's hope the imitation good luck does as well as that side-by-side action switches over to Mark Herzog up into 13th, all over the back of Sam Roush. We can't quite do anything to him, so just going to follow in his tire tracks up to the high side in front of them. Taft Baldwin working for riding shotgun.
Crossover. Here we go.
Yeah, trying those alternate lines. He's fighting with Ray Partridge, but it doesn't work. Appropriately, we mentioned the Earnhardts having a race here. The number 88 of Ray Partridge paying a little homage. Oh, big bobble behind him. Taft Baldwin going to lose out, and that position goes to Sam Roush easily. The point that I was going to make, an homage to Dale Jr., who recently retired.
Yeah, I like how they replaced the Budweiser with, well, Dog Bear.
Is it King of Teams? Is that what they have on there?
Yes, King of all teams, sure.
Side-by-side battle between Herzog and Taft Baldwin as Baldwin continues to struggle here early in the race. That bobble is not a good sign. The tires seem to be a talking point, especially with you, Sean, in this race.
Yeah, definitely, Joe. I'm keeping an eye on what's going on actually back here between Driscoll and Warling. Finally, Driscoll able to get away from Warling a little bit, and unfortunately for Travis, all he's done is managed to back up a couple positions since this race got started, Joe. Got to be careful not to be too eager here to try and get all that back in one lap.
Yeah, there's not a lot of big movers so far. As Bill said, everybody seems to be kind of playing it patient, which is very good to see. And we've seen this before in the Pacific region, that these oval races maybe play a little bit better. I'm not sure if it's because we have more oval drivers or if the talent is higher or what, but compared to the other regions, the oval races have put on some great shows so far.
Absolutely. Callisto has lost. Callisto really tried hard to stay on the back of Christian Chandler. Might have burned up his tires a little bit. Boy, he's got Dallas Pataska now on him.
And Pataska, you talk about momentum being in favor of some drivers. He's been having a great end of season. He's one to watch out for to take the championship, the Drivers' Championship next season. Everybody pretty much following in line as Pataska and Callisto hold station on the last 2 podium spots. Behind them, it is Blake Reynolds. And usually we talk about the wood of these cars, but I tell you what, those colors are making me think of peanut butter and jelly. I cannot help it.
Oh.
Slavonic with a bad incident.
Yeah, well, Joe, you know what? Nobody hits him, and that's a good thing. Paul the car breaks loose on him a little bit and maybe got that entry a little wrong that time, got it a little hot. But I was about to say, before this happened, as you see Paul go around there in the 528, Joe, 15, 16 laps in, this is about the time that anybody, as I talked about early when we got this whole show started tonight, this track rewards drivers who, drive it well, and those who try to abuse it a little bit, it gives up on them after about 15 laps or so, and I think that's what might have happened to Paul a little bit there.
First taker is Lynn Kinchlow heading in for tires. Slavonic's not.
That doesn't surprise me. Sean talks about the makeup of the track. Sean, there's like seashells or something in the track. Kinchelow's car looks like it's racing on seaweed. I mean, it's just all over the place.
Well, now he has got some rear end damage on the car. Let's see. I wonder if they're going to get the spare car off the hauler here. No, he's going up for tires. So, that rear end damage probably not critical. In fact, only took right sides for Kinch.
Is that a viable strategy out here from your experience?
Sure, no problem. If he was driving it real hard there to get started, now obviously he's going to slot in all the way at the back, so he's got time to sit back there and ride along, let the game come to him. The problem with that is that in a deep field on a short track like this, you got to be careful not to get caught up behind a big mess in front of you. So it's a bit of a gamble, but it's not a bad one.
All right. Pace car should get them doubled up next time around. Let's see if we do have any big movers now that we've gotten past 19 laps, soon to be 20 laps. Just looking through the field.
Michael Thompson's up 6 in the 18th right now.
And not really that big of a surprise. Thompson has tended to fare well on the oval stuff. In fact, the Elite West drivers I've noticed have shown themselves to be a bit of a force on the oval rounds. Wonder if former IndyCar driver Richie Hearn has anything to do with that. Poor Richie couldn't be here today because he recently moved, so unfortunately was not able to qualify for this event. Pace car is in. Christian Challoner is still in the lead, but unfortunately he still does not have the championship within his hands as he takes the green flag on the first restart, Bill.
Pataska was just in great shape. I knew that was going to happen. Sitting third, Kalisto had no hope of defending him off. Now let's see what Pataska can do now that he's got clear air in front of him and Challoner in front.
It looked like Pataska almost kind of pushed Kalisto up to the wall. Might have gotten... Oh, and that time Kalisto did get the wall, and Blake Reynolds has to check up. That's going to allow Matthew Thunhorst to get his nose in down to the inside.
Well, Blake was all up in that bumper, too. Now he looks to the inside, Joe.
He's going to have his nose in. How much damage does that number 2 have? That's the question. As they come back down into turn 1, it's taken multiple corners for most cars to complete passes from what we've seen. Another caution.
Oh, we caught another one, Joe. Yep. A little bit of contact back there between Michael Thompson and that would have been Wayne Hutchinson.
Thompson kept it going straight.
Yeah, that was an itchy trigger finger from the stewards.
Compared to what we saw earlier in one of the heats, yeah.
Right, yeah, no, exactly. Great point, Sue. I almost wanted to call you somebody else there, Bill.
All right.
Okay,
don't call me late for dinner, man.
No, all right. Joe, I figured out what Dog Bear is doing with the cars. The Sheik is up. I've figured it out. So,
okay.
Wayne Hutchinson's in the X-Side, the Denny Hamlin X-Side car with Dog Bear, of course, on the car. And then we got Nick Kuhn in the Bandit, in Dog Bear Bandit, the Skull Dog Bear Bandit there.
The high, wide, and handsome.
Yeah, the high, wide, and handsome, exactly, Joe. So I'm on to them. I love it that the guys have all done a little something here with the paint jobs for the last race of the season.
Well, they've done this before. Remember at Daytona, the 500, they had a lot of classic schemes there. This one, I think, very much an homage to the type of driver that you would see at a track like this.
Yeah.
Nobody ever races in the GoDaddy car. Come on.
Send your hate mail to bill.zahn at globalsimracingchannel.com. I know, Bill, and I know how NASCAR fans can be, so I'm just I'm covering us off early.
Can I admit something actually here real quick?
Go ahead.
My IR18 paint job currently is the GoDaddy car.
Attaboy.
Yeah, I just thought about that. I'm actually running that paint job right now.
I'll give you an out if you want it. The mayor of Hinchtown drove that for a little while.
That's right. He did. He did. Yes. And that's why I picked up that paint job. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that makes me happy then. I'm a big fan of Hinch. So, all right. As the pace lights go off on the pace car, we are doubled up once again. There is no GoDaddy car out there today, but there is Christian Challoner's Kinetic Pacific car, the number 78, still leading the way. His main rival for the championship is sitting in fourth, which means right now Blake Reynolds still is your championship winner if he stays where he is. Space car peels off. The car of Christian Challoner accelerates towards the start-finish line. We're starting to get a little bit of that yellow fever we were worried about. So let's see if they can get a nice green flag run. Second place goes to Dallas Pataska easily, but here comes Blake Reynolds trying to get himself into the podium position. On that high side, he clears him very easily. In fact, he's got eyes on second now. Diving down to the inside of Pataska. Pataska, a teammate of Christian Challoner. He's not going to want to give this up easily. As he clears him through 3 and 4. Easy pickings for the pro driver of Blake Reynolds. Dallas Pataska ducking it down to the inside once again. They almost come together a little bit. As he drifts up slightly, and now finally it looks like Reynolds has this one done.
Kalisto stuck on the top side. He's in jeopardy of being freight trained here. Thunhorst and Driscoll are coming.
Thunhorst has already got the inside line down there. But it looks like Kalisto's finding something on the top side. We're 31 laps in, and we got a caution. This one with Tom Triling.
Oh, Tom gets caught up in one there, unfortunately, Joe.
And this looks like Taft Baldwin drifting up a little bit on the exit. Or is it Triling drifting down? Hard to tell on that, but regardless, as after we watch the replay, we're going to take a very short break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Because we're going to watch from onboard Triling real quickly before we go to that break. Yeah, he could have come down just slightly, but that looks like a racing incident to me. That brings a few cars into the pit lane, and it brings us to a break here on GSRC. We'll come back with more racing action here with the final round of the majors. Welcome back to Myrtle Beach. We're going to get racing here at lap 37 out of 250 for the Myrtle Beach 400. The pace car is actually peeling off right now as Christian Challenger continues to lead, but this time on the front row, he has his championship rival, the car that he does not want to see out of his right side window, Blake Reynolds. Off on the green flag goes Christian Challenger. He gets up to the lead, but Blake Reynolds might lose that second place because immediately the teammate, Dallas Pataska, gets himself a good jump and covers him off. Yes, he does indeed get into second.
Hey, man, the little train is chugging back here, Joe. Watch out.
He likes the high side. He has the opportunity to go low. He's not taking it. He likes it up there.
No, he's running it.
Seems to be making it work, and we're now well past the number of laps that we saw on the previous heat races, so track changing more than the other drivers saw before, as they mostly get single file. Travis Whirling has Sam Roush outside of him, along with Brian Bennett close behind in the number 71 as we ride on board with Whirling. See how close these cars have to run at this very, very short half-mile oval. Speaking of making the high side work, look at Sam Roush. We can't see him from this angle, but he is gaining ground bit by bit.
And
Go ahead, Sue.
right behind Roush is the car I want to talk about, car number 027, the Canadian Vincent Leabert. He is up, my goodness, he is up 9 spots. That's pretty impressive considering we've only been racing a little bit of time.
Yeah, it seems like some of the attrition is kind of helping those drivers that are just staying clean and running their line, taking care of the car. Haven't seen too many pit stops yet as we jump up to second place. Got a pass going on. Oh, another caution. It's like trialing involved.
Yeah, and
Slavonic.
Boy, I'm looking at this replay, and I almost wonder if Tom's car actually started to come around before Slavonic got there. Hard to tell from that view. It was awful close. Good thing is Tom's going to walk away with minimal damage on that.
That's one thing I like about these tri-ovals is they do still have that grass down to the inside to save them.
Yeah, there was contact there.
And, you know, this gives us a good view on Paul's hood of all the names that you mentioned.
I see Fleischle, Bennett, Callisto, and it's gone. I was doing my best to read upside down, I promise.
Yeah, and you know, actually, that's glad that you mentioned Jason Fleischle. Another time, just want to give him a quick shout out since he couldn't be out there today racing. Jason, we miss you. Not only out on the track, but here in the booth. Hopefully someday you get to come back to GSRC. It's been a joy when we did have you during the brief period that you could call races and direct for us. Just want to give my own personal what's up to Jason. I know he's out there watching. So lap 44 now, and we get yet another caution. And unfortunately, I think that somebody did not spay and neuter their caution flag.
No, we have a litter of them right now, but we're okay. This is going to settle down. We've done enough of these. I think my knocking on Formica doesn't have the same effect as knocking on real wood. For those of you not familiar with Formica, I might have dated myself. That's a 70s reference. Don't know things about that.
I had Formica products.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
I might have even chewed on some Formica at one time or another.
No, that explains a lot.
Yeah, it probably does.
How about Naugahyde, Sean? You ever have a Naugahyde here? Yeah.
It's not a GSRC broadcast unless we bring up outdated references of pop culture.
Okay, I'm behaving now.
Actually, you know, honestly, I was trying to look around myself to see if anything I had that was real wood around myself. So unfortunately, it doesn't appear to be the case. Our viewers can help us out, knock on wood, if you are near some actual wood around you. Meanwhile, as they pace behind the pace car, you can see we had a few more cars coming in for stops. Tom Triley naturally had to come on in, get a little bit of work done. But besides that, we have only 5 drivers who have stopped in the pits so far. No, 6. Jimbo Pfeiffer is still stationary in there. He's been in there a long time.
Well, I'm going to speak for the viewers here and plead my ignorance, and maybe one of you guys will know. How many pit stops are we looking at here? Is it a long one and a short one, or what's up? Do we know?
Well, only one needed stop as the lights go off on the pace car. We do know that as far as fuel is concerned. Now, tires are a bigger question mark. Yeah, that's we don't know how long drivers can go. Right now with the cautions, it's certainly going to make it easier on the tires. So we could only see one stop. Blake Reynolds on the outside of Christian Challenger as they come around 3 and 4 for a restart on lap 48. Challenger's doing everything he can, but Blake Reynolds is disappointing him at every corner without having any trouble so far. He's had some close racing. Dallas Pataska's been the wingman for Christian Challenger, trying to hold off Blake Reynolds yet again as they get close. But Sean, another great shot off the high side.
Boy, again, yeah, you know what? That high side can be rewarding if you attack it quick. We're still early in this race, though, with 200 laps to go. I got to imagine that's not always going to be the case as this race wears on.
Does take that second place, the first battle for position.
A little bit of trouble back there, Joe. Sorry. We had a couple cars out of shape. I think it was actually Herzog and the 900 of Travis Warling got together.
Kept it going straight, though. Warling was in the wall and in Herzog.
Ooh, 71 getting a little bit of out of shape, and now coming into this battle, Herzog ducks to the low side. And just in time, the 71 sees him coming, gives him space, but he's got more momentum, and he leaves him in the dust.
71, the 57, the 909, and the 900 car. I'm not liking what I'm seeing here. Get this sorted out.
Almost chopped off the 900 car. And that leaves him up vulnerable for Vincent Leherbier. The Canadian tries to stick his nose in to see if he could get within the top 10, but it's not to be for now. Oh!
Man, Vincent was, and it was just enough to get him a little bit out of shape. And then Vincent almost bears the brunt for Michael Thompson, and the yellow's out.
Glenn Kinchlow. Number 181, he got some help, I think, as well. But only to finish it. He started slipping around first, and Tom Dreiling gave him a little tap.
I'm telling you, seaweed. The car has not looked good all night.
And remember, Kinch just got those right sides there a couple of cautions ago, Joe.
And already getting worn out. Even though we haven't had a whole lot of green flag racing, I'm not so sure about that two-tire strategy anymore. As we watch the one that get himself whipped around. Go ahead.
Not like he has to pay for the tires. I don't know why he wouldn't take 4 unless...
Yeah, it was on a caution, too.
He was worried about, Oh, you take 4, you go a lap down. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, Soup. It does take a while to get the car up on the jack and get the tires down. It's not like a cup stop. It's not a 14-second stop and you're done.
Okay, so question for you, Sean, being our short track aficionado. One thing I've never understood is why is it actually called the late model?
Okay,
or why is it called late model racing?
Okay, well that actually that's a car term actually that goes way back into the honestly I think about the mid 70s when they started talking about later model cars like some of your cars in the 60s were split. There was the early version, like a half year, and then you had the late model, the one that came out a little bit later in the year. I think Chrysler might have been famous for that. There's some 61 and a halves and 60 or late 61s. Anyway, the term late model came out of auto manufacturing, and then that division was born. Some called it, let's say, maybe bombers or stock or street cars or something like that. Then the late model term came in, and that was kind of like the first entry level division that you saw on your short tracks across America.
We learned something new. Unfortunately, we can't use that more you know jingle, or else we'll get sued. So we'll refrain from that. As still waiting for the lights to go out on the pace car, and I think South Carolina known for having a bit of a swampy area, right? So I think Jimbo Pfeiffer for a moment was trying to get rid of the mosquitoes down in the pit lane because the engine was certainly putting up quite a bit of smoke.
You will definitely get some mosquitoes here in Myrtle Beach, that's for sure.
All right. Well, he's back out. I think he took his spare car from what it looks like, as we now have the cars doubled up and the lights are off on the pace car. Come on, boys. Let's get some green flag running out there. Pace car peels off into pit lane. Early pit lane entry, if you haven't noticed, here at Myrtle Beach before they hit turn 4. And Christian Challenger also goes very early. I'm starting to think there's some radio shenanigans going on because Dallas Pataska knew exactly when to go yet again and is demoting. Wow, we didn't even get to turn 2.
Hutchinson.
He is upside down. What happened here? Little contact with the car of Clark Archer. And then he got hit again. This one was Harry Gant in disguise as Nick Kuhn.
Made a bad error on that 17 car earlier, by the way.
Yeah, well,
it was Ward Burton's car.
Ah.
Yeah, I was just about to ask if you wanted a chance to redeem yourself on that one. And then suddenly coughing fit hit me. Well, unfortunate there for the number 17. You can see Clark Archer making that side-to-side contact, which had one of the worst incidents we've seen yet so far in this A main feature. Nick Kuhn has to take to the pit lane with severe engine damage. You can see him also now getting rid of mosquitoes.
You know, this is viewable worldwide, and I made a big thing about how the pack drivers were not going to have a lot of yellows. Come on, guys, you make me look bad here.
Commentator's curse takes many forms, Bill. That dog bear car looking a little bit more like Oog Bear out there now, so we're not even halfway through this race. We got a ways to go, and they certainly are going to have to clean up their act. Good news is we don't have anything to do after this one, so they can go pretty late. Alliance Evolution's Jimbo Pfeiffer going to get the lucky dog this time.
Joe, I did it again.
Yeah?
It wasn't Ward's car. It was Jeff's car. Jeff Burton, his brother. Yeah, it was.
Are you sure? Are you sure this time?
Well, no, I am. I'm being called out on in the chat, but no, he's right. It wasn't Ward's car. It was Jeff's car. My bad, totally. I'm gonna get out of history, so that's it.
Okay.
It was a good subject for me too in school, and all of a sudden it's just gone away from me.
You educated us about where the term came from for late models.
I'm surprised nobody's called me out on that one yet, because I mean, it may not be entirely correct on that. I don't know. It's what I remember as a kid, though. Well, it's what I remember as a kid. In fact, I made the comment in the chat. I mean, some of the early late models I remember were like the Ford Fairlanes and the Plymouth Furies, and I think there were maybe even a couple of Dusters in there, and the Monte Carlos. So, it goes back to my childhood at the racetrack in the 70s, and boy, that late model division was always the big one, man. There, it wouldn't be uncommon to see a 40 car feature on a quarter-mile track.
Whew. That would be a sight to see. And speaking of which, definitely, if you're watching this and you're enjoying this type of racing, go and support your local short track. There's tons of them around the States. Unfortunately, I don't think we see nearly as many over in Europe. I think Australia might have a couple. But if you like this type of racing, look it up. Google what your local short track is and go attend the races once they go back racing again. The South might still have some, but unfortunately, if you're in the North,
a lot of turkey derbies coming up, Joe. A lot of turkey derbies coming up.
There you go. Something to look out for if you find yourself getting bit by the bug. Lights are out on the pace car. Come around 1 and 2 onto the backstretch once again. Let's get past turn 2 this time, as Christian Challenger has control once again. This time he's flanked by Dallas Pataska. Let's give a close eye to see how they take off. They look almost exactly even on when they hit that gas pedal. Blake Reynolds, though, is keeping his nose down to the inside. It's a shorter run around the corner. Is he going to make it work? I think he might.
All right, let's get back to some green flag racing here for a little bit.
There's still quite a few double file, and Blake Reynolds does indeed slot into that second place. That's going to make it a battle for fourth place between Driscoll and Callisto. Despite pancaking the wall very early in the race, the number 2 is still very far up the order. Hasn't seemed to lost any speed.
Way too early for Callisto to show his cards right now. Look for him around lap 225 to make his move.
Ooh, no, watch out. A little bit of trouble there for the Workiva car. Vincent Labriere got in a little bit too hot, gets in the back of Bennett, and then he had spent all his time catching it as Worling making the move down below now.
Makes the pass. That bumps Worling into the top 10. And Laherbier isn't done having to go defensive because look at that. Michael Thompson trying to peel it away from him. Working him hard, though, to make sure that Thompson has to earn this one. Can he get down before the salami gets his nose in? No, he can't. Oh, maybe. Wow, late on the brakes for L'Herbier. The Canadian does solidify 12th place.
How about Thompson, though? You talk about big movers in the race. Joe up 13 spots, and that car looks like it's been through the wars to get there.
So far, we have 22 cars still on the lead lap. Tom Dreiling, Nick Kuhn, Wayne Hutchison, and Jimbo Pfeiffer, all still in the race, are out towards the back trying to get the lucky dog. Watching Brian Barnes at the moment, battling with the car of Bob Beltrami. Beltrami comes out to the fore of that. Now Ray Partridge and another caution. Ooh, big caution. Wade Hayes getting all 4 wheels off the ground. This started with him being tipped by Baldwin.
And he just gets flat nailed by James Stacy at the end. You'll see the tap here that sends him around. But the bad part is that the car came back up into the line there, and boy, he just gets crunched.
It's a tight little track, and like you said, when you come back to the racing line, there's very few places you can go. Going to watch on board Stacy. Pretty much the innocent victim on this one.
Just kind of the way, obviously, you know, you're a passenger when you start to spin, and boy, one little miscalculation of the wheel there, left or right, and you wind up whipping it back around like that, and that's unfortunately what happened.
Oh, we got a driver taking their stop. Sam Roush, he didn't hit anything in that last run. Is he going to get 4 tires? Is he going to get... Oh, he's going to do 4. Can he get back out in time? Challenger's now in turn 3, coming towards turn 4.
He's taking fuel too, Joe.
I think he's going to risk going a lap down. Yeah, he's still stationary.
Oh, he's going to do it.
It'll be tight. Can he hit the cones before the leaders do? He does. Nicely done.
Yeah, that was really well done. That's 33 seconds in the box. We talked about the Gen 6 earlier. That's about a 13 to 14 second stop in the box. So there you go, about twice the distance here on the late model. James Stacy, guys, unfortunately blew his motor out there. I believe that car might be done. Or in for a very, very long repair.
And remember, he was the one that plowed into the side of that incident with Wade Hayes. So, James Stacy, let's see, did he use his free repair already, actually?
He's been in several times, Joe. I've got him in 4 times now. He may have.
And Sam Roush is back in. Did he speed on the pit lane? These cars do not have pit limiters.
Yeah, that would have been an EOL, Joe, actually, if he had sped. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Maybe life happened for him, but he's surely going to lose that lap now.
Yeah, that is sad to see after what looked like a brilliant pit stop on his part. Lights are going off on the pace car this time by, and it's back to what we've been used to for many of these restarts. Challenger on the inside, Reynolds on the outside.
It's funny, 14 races into the season, and who do you have up in front? Challenger and Reynolds. Doesn't matter what cars you put them in, what track they're on. They seem to always find each other.
They're damn good drivers. Yep. That's all there is to it. That was our 7th caution of the day. As Challoner gets the jump, and as is tradition, his teammate tries to get the jump with him, gets to the inside of Blake Reynolds. Behind them, already getting single file to Steve Driscoll, who's really been sort of the dark horse of this race. As once again, off the high side, Blake looking pretty fast. We cannot discount the number 62 car. He's just been hovering around that top of the pack.
Yeah, Driscoll's been really good. Boy, bringing it to Pataska at the moment.
He may have his sights set on third, and that's not what Pataska wants. He's here to try and support his teammate. He covers him off, slams the door down into 3 and 4. Behind them, but go ahead.
You said behind them, Thunhorse doing his thing right now, Joe. Got Mark Herzog coming along with him. There you go. 3 Alliance cars, nose to tail. I'm sorry, 4. There, as long as Bennett's stuck in this battle back here with Warling. Seems like they've been at it the whole race.
And Warling has the inside, the number 900 car, trying to break up this love fest for Alliance Racing. The 71 does have the speed. He's a little bit ahead, but not ahead enough to clear that number 900. And as they come off of 4, finally, he gets fully beyond the car of Travis Warling.
You know, Warling suffers what I like to call a little bit of a Jan Brady syndrome. He's 3rd in points. He's got a couple marshes in front of him with Blake Reynolds and Christian Challoner. But Travis Warling is going to finish 3rd in the points. Really, really quiet. I see it, Travis.
And disconnection problem from Brian Bennett. He's disappeared for a moment on my screen. He is now back. Let's hope that is a one-off for the number 71. Regardless, Warling not afraid to get right up behind Bennett and race close. In fact, he's looking to the inside down into turn 1, trying to break deep, and it doesn't work out for him. Still at 21 cars on the lead lap. Lynn Kinchlow, your last driver, currently in the 181, that is on the same lap as the leaders. Battle for 3rd place. We wondered about Pataska and Driscoll. Driscoll had a little look, but didn't have the grip to try and overtake the number 94. Still, he is losing touch with Blake Reynolds, who is currently hounding our leader of Christian Challoner.
We're going to get to triple digits before the next yellow comes. We're at 85.
I wasn't going to say anything. I wasn't even going to mention cautions.
No, we're going. We're going. We got the rhythm now. These guys are feeling good.
The top drivers certainly look like they are feeling good. You can see the gap starting to pull between 2nd and 3rd as we ride on board with Steve Driscoll. Hangs a little bit low. Are these cars much aero dependent? Is there much wash from the car ahead if you follow close behind, Sean?
No, we got another caution, Joe.
Bill, I'm blaming that one on you.
Jeez, Dick Kuhn.
Let's see. Oh, Nick had some help. Jimbo Pfeiffer, who got...
Yeah, I honestly, I think he lost it first. I think Kuhn was starting to go on there.
You're right. I was still rewinding through, didn't quite see what had happened.
I did identify Kuhn's car correctly, by the way.
I'd be upset with you if you didn't.
Yeah, I know. I am sorry about that mistake. So we're watching that run, right? And of course, we're all talking about Blake Reynolds and riding shotgun. And, well, where's his teammates? Well, his teammates are caught towards the back of the pack.
Oh!
What happened?
Dallas Pataska.
Hey.
Dallas Pataska's into the pits. This is not for damage repair as far as we're aware.
I like it. I like it.
Maybe those tires just not as handy as they used to be. Sorry, the reason I cut in is because when we get one of our top 5 coming to pit, that to me is a significant strategy call. He is going to lose tons and tons of track position.
Yeah, well, he's going all the way to the back. Tires are up, right side.
He doesn't care. Dallas wants to be fast. He'd rather be fast in 50th than slow in 1st.
And left.
Well, I hope we don't have 50 cars out here. Our timing and scoring has been lying to us all the whole time.
Okay, that was tires only. He didn't take any fuel there, Joe. That was a clean tire stop, 21.9.
All right. And that is, well, can you take tires at the same time as fuel in these cars?
You can, but I think you can only get, I honestly think it was maybe he got 1.5 gallons, maybe 2 gallons, I think, in that period. Still not enough based on what we know about the fuel consumption on these cars. And so what do we know? Let me we know that the fuel burn somewhere about 0.12 to 0.14 gallons per lap, somewhere in that window. So I don't know. That's an estimation of about 30 to 31 gallons trying to get you to the end on green laps only. Throw in some caution flags. Obviously that'll get you a few more, but not too many more. The caution, this is only a half-mile track. The caution laps aren't that long, Joe. So there's some numbers to work with for our calculator people at home.
Well, let's hope it's a lot less of throwing cautions, a lot more of this. Throwing the green, Christian Challoner gets himself on the gas pedal. This time he doesn't have his buddy behind him. Blake Reynolds easily going to follow him into second. Lionel Callisto back in the mix now with Steve Driscoll still fighting to get into that third position he wants on the podium. Last time he was fighting with Pataska. This time it's with Little Train. Just behind them, that's Matthew Thunhorst in the number 98 giving watch. Still running that high side. Trying to cut down low to get himself the exit. Driscoll just can't seem to seal the deal to get onto the podium.
Just give you a little update. Pataska slotted in at 20th. He's picked up one spot. He's going to be working his way through the field.
Ooh, and Pataska makes contact with Adam Young.
Oh, and Adam getting a little testy after that one.
Okay, I forgot I had my audio on there. Yeah. All right. I'm not used to hearing Adam come on the mic in car.
Yeah. Well, I think the stewards are not going to be happy about that because they take that pretty seriously here in the majors. And Dallas Pataska definitely riled the Texan. So it moves him up into 18th. He's still got a lot of cars to go. Battle for the lead, though. Blake Reynolds, he's not going to take this one just right in behind. Oh, no, yep. A lot of cars involved.
And it was, boy, and I think Kinchlow got involved in that, actually.
Started with LaHerbier getting tipped by Thompson. Thompson pancakes the wall while LaHerbier gets turned completely around. Taft Baldwin, I think, takes the brunt of the hit. Let's take a look at the onboard of Taft.
On board with Greg Partridge here. He's going to have nowhere to go here, Joe.
Ow. Watching. Oh, yeah. That was a mess.
There was an opening, and then it was gone. But, Joe, look at what's going on now.
It's good a time as any to come in. As a lot of drivers, I suspect, actually might be taking damage repair, not necessarily a scheduled stop for these guys. Hopefully it's not too much that they need to take their spare car because we still have more than half the race left to go. Steve Driscoll. Oh, Steve Driscoll coming in. This is definitely a scheduled stop for him, I'm pretty sure. Because he was not involved in that incident, and he has given up a top 5 position.
A lot of takers that time.
Definitely are. And one thing I want to discuss, too, right before that accident happened, we had Blake Reynolds starting to challenge Christian Challoner. And that tells me a lot of what type of driver Blake Reynolds is. He could so easily sit behind in second place and cruise to this championship, but he's trying to take the win.
Yeah, that's says a lot.
Texas needs a win, Joe. There you go.
Well, how many are we up to on wins for Blake Reynolds this season? I need to check my stats here and see what he has. I think it's more than one. So we watch them cycle around behind the pace car.
I think Challenger has more wins than Reynolds, but he's had also more bad luck. Yeah, more bad luck.
Well, and he missed completely missed a race, so a full 0 for him is definitely what hurt there. Let's see. Blake Reynolds still only has 1 win. Wow. And 5 for Challenger. That is astonishing. In fact, the only other driver in the Pacific region, there's 2 other drivers with more than 1 win. That is Matthew Thunhorst, who's taken 2. And, oh, no, I take it there's been multiple ones other than that. Bobby Zielinski has 2. And Liam Quinn, of all people, has 2 wins. Both of those being IndyCar wins for Liam Quinn. Pace car is in. We're about to go racing once more here, just cracking those triple digits. As Christian Challenger once again denying Blake Reynolds that lead position. From what we've seen, he's not going to let that stand for long. Most of them getting single file. Brian Bennett battling with Mark Herzog. How about Mark Herzog? He was way in the back of the pack earlier on. He has now got himself all the way up to 6, looking at a top 5.
Joe Pataska's already worked his way up to 9th, and he's battling there with the 383, trying to get around. Wade Hayes in the dust now.
He took advantage of the chaos that went on in front of him to vulture several positions. But yeah, he's got a fast car, he's got good tires, and he's going to be in a good position here because those guys in front are going to have to pit pretty soon. And even if Pataska comes in with him, I guess it didn't hurt him too bad, but I think he's going to stay out.
Is this strategy call a risk in terms of the condition of his car, though, Sean? Because Pataska could get caught up in one of those melees that we saw in the last caution.
Oh yeah, it could definitely happen. I mean, he's still in a risky spot here, and now he's battling with the guys. Not just going to let him get by. Slavonek's going to fight for every inch of that asphalt, and Paul's been running up here on this outer line for most of this race. That is definitely a place he's comfortable with and happy to fight from.
And this is personal, too, because that is Alliance versus Kinetic right now. Caught something, Sean?
Well, no, I almost contact there, and almost again with Pataska getting up into Slavonic. And Slavonic just cool as a cucumber up there. I got to be really honest with you.
Yeah, he is.
It looks like Pataska is struggling with the handling on his car just a bit, to be honest.
Does. You would think he'd be able to take care of Slavonic without a lot of effort. There is damage to the rear of Pataska's car. That happened from Adam Young in that melee where Pataska had to get off the gas as they go around the car that is slow. That's Nick Kuhn. Adam Young accidentally got into him really hard.
Yeah, Young down in 18th at the moment. Look at this battle ahead of them. That could be a problem, too. That's Sam Roush and Mark Herzog.
Oh, spin it in front of Pataska. Oh!
He clipped him, but how hard did he clip him?
That was Sam Roush that started spinning in front of him. He clipped him pretty hard. Sam Roush has got half of the rear end left.
Take a look at the rear.
Oh, yeah.
This will give us a good view from the helicopter. Just started to go. Oof. And Sam Roush has been in before. So I don't think he was on old tires.
He's going to catch the left front here. Pataska's going to get it. And he is going to pick up some left front damage on that car that could possibly affect it. We'll see.
Sam
Don't think
Roush.
he hasn't taken a spare car yet, so I think he's okay.
He is getting beat up, though, when he took that early stop. He got back there. They're coming from all directions on him. Go ahead, Joe.
Yep, well, a couple of drivers come in for stops. We're going to head to break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We'll come back with more action as we get very close to the halfway point and the Myrtle Beach 400. Welcome back to Myrtle Beach. The cars are now doubled up, and hopefully we'll get a green flag run to the halfway point, which will be lap 125. There you see at the front of the line, that is Christian Challoner, the number 78. He's been leading pretty much every lap, I think, so far this race, though his championship rival, Blake Reynolds, is trying very hard to change that. He's challenged him as the green flag comes out, but he has not been able to overtake him. He slots into second, battle for third behind them as Lionel Callisto in the number 2, the outgoing champion, finds himself getting into that spot. Matthew Thunhorst as well, single file already.
Pataska up into 6th in a beat-up car.
And already another caution, this one with Le Herbier. Little side-by-side contact between himself and Nick Kuhn. Turns him around, and wow, miraculous avoidance by James Stacy. Once we watch this camera shot, let's jump on board with Stacy's view.
Yes, let's watch this while I figure out how to phrase what I'm about to say next. Okay, Sean, help me here. Nick Kuhn is 25 laps down. I'll just say, I'll let it go at that. No good will come from me elaborating on this point.
No.
Love that onboard replay. Stacy on the binders, keeping the car planted, and avoids going more laps down because he's already 3 laps down. But that'll certainly come in handy later on in the race if he starts to get a lucky dog. So we didn't make it to the halfway point without a caution. It's going to slow them down one more time. This is certainly looking like drivers will need to cool out a little bit here.
How about some love to Jimbo Pfeiffer? Why he's in 26th position. He's 34 laps down. He's still out there racing. It's the end of the season. There you go.
Yep, as the double aught doesn't want to give up, looking maybe for a Dory Award here at 34 laps down. You know, speaking last race of the season, one of our drivers we talked about early in the season, Michael Thompson, who is still here up in the pro split, sitting at 13th. He had told us at the start of the season, his approach usually is to play the long game. Just try and stay in it, stay consistent. Well, he's still here. And right now looking at a pretty good result in the final round. Well, that car is a little beat up, judging by the left side. In fact, I think we're going to go green just before we hit that halfway marker.
Sean, how are the concessions at Myrtle Beach? Are they good? Good hot dogs? Good stuff to eat? I'm getting kind of hungry. When you were there? Good stuff?
Boy, again, do you want my real opinion?
Yeah.
Well, you know, I may be eliminating a potential advertiser here, and I don't know if I want to do that. The food was wonderful. It was wonderful. I gave it 5 stars on Yelp. So 5 stars.
All right, thank you, buddy.
Always diplomatic there, Sean. So,
talk about playing the long game, man.
Yeah, really. Well, right now we're getting doubled up once more. The pace car lights are out. I tell you what, the pace car might be the one that leads the most lap at the end of this race, as he's certainly been out there plenty. Now he's going to be in the pit lane once more. Let's hope that he stays there. Christian Challoner going to have control. He starts very early, around 3 and 4. Will leave Blake Reynolds in the dust. Looks like Matthew Thunhorst up on that high side. Going to have to slot in behind the number 2. He carries a little bit of momentum. Going to be able to challenge him for the final podium spot. Behind them still side by side between Brian Bennett and Dallas Pataska.
And Steve Driscoll just tried to make it 3 wide on Ray Partridge and Travis Warling. Oh, and now, speaking of which, Driscoll's going to get into the side of the 88. Spin him around, and we got a parking lot back there.
Yep, that, as you said, started with Driscoll just hitting that quarter panel. And then, interestingly, he ducks under the curb bumps to avoid the incident.
Well, he didn't duck under Ray Partridge, no pun intended, as he was next to get in there in that yellow 314 machine.
Let's watch from onboard Thompson. Really just stuck in the absolute worst spot. Just gets banged around like a pinball, and our leaders are coming in.
Am I the only one who noticed there that put a donut on Thompson's door?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
You know, that the tire on the front of the car. It does that.
Yeah, right. Okay, that's right. Right.
They've got a new damage model coming, Sean.
That's
just
true. I know.
Hashtag
By the
soon.
way, hey, I want to give credit to Ryan Steele making the best point of the night that anybody's made. Nick Kuhn can do anything he wants. He's driving a Harry Gant car. So there you go.
Okay.
Yes.
I like it.
He's still out there. All 26 of our cars are still out there, which, and I don't want to say this to say that we want cars to DNF, but I think that might be contributing to a lot of the cautions that we have. It's every car is still out there. The more cars you have, the more likelihood that you have contact made.
Yeah, true. I mean, this is not. It's funny they announced Michigan for next year on the schedule here in the majors. This is not Michigan, folks. Cars don't have half a football field to run around and seek safety. Whereas this is not the tiniest bull ring in America, it's still a bull ring nonetheless. And these late models, man, they get loose, and not loose like crazy loose, but just loose enough to where you're going to make contact with that guy next to you, and it's so hard to recover the car, get it to snap back on you.
Well, keep in mind, we really have 52 cars here tonight, so that's because everyone has 2 bullets in the chamber.
Oh, I didn't think of it that way.
It's a good way to put it, actually. I'll hold on to that one. All right, still waiting for the lights to go off on the pace car. We have passed the halfway point, which was 125. Let's get, well, I mean, we talk about always trying to give the leaders some love. Well, let's give the leader of the pace lap some love here as we got one on the pace car.
Now, you assumed it was a man in there. I'm not so sure that's the case. It could be a woman driving the pace car.
This is very true.
Okay.
Could be a non-binary person.
That's true.
All right. They are doubled up now as the pace car peels off once more. Let's see if Matthew Thunhorst, the first time we've had a different leader, is going to be able to do something. Pataska's on his outside. Thunhorst gets a nice run. And Dallas Pataska, threatened by Herzog, trying to move him out of the way to get this second position. Already a caution. And this was James Stacy's smoking.
I think but maybe Brian Bennett had trouble. I don't even know now.
Just a little tap from Bennett, yeah.
Let's watch the replay. Stacy got turned by, I think, Herbier as well. There's where he goes into the wall. Oh, and he comes to a halt as cars were coming up at him. I understand that Bennett maybe.
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so.
Just a little tap.
Certainly not what brought the caution out.
No.
So, only 2 drivers who have yet to visit the pit lane is Mark Herzog and Matthew Thunhorst. Everybody else has been in at least once, and Pataska's finally worked out. Looks like Herzog's going to fake everyone. You mentioned the Michigan Speedway, how fast the cars are going. It's relatively low speeds here at a half-mile circuit, certainly preventing a few cars from having race-ending damage, and also keeping a lot of drivers out there.
You know, we talked about the Lotus 49 coming onto the schedule next season. It reminds me when I was a very young boy, and I got a date with the gorgeous girl next door. I remember Debbie Haynes. She was 2 years older. Worked forever to get that date. I wanted it, and I had to take her to go see the ballet, which I hated. But at least I got to date Debbie Haynes. It was a good date. That's kind of how I feel about the Lotus 49. I've wanted it in this. I've wanted it. Now we have to take it to an oval. But that's okay. We still have the Lotus 49. It's going to be a good date.
Soup, I thought you told me your first date was Betsy Ross, a very young Betsy Ross.
Betsy. No, she was too busy doing her needlepoint. Couldn't get her going there.
Boy, Google's going to be busy tonight, Soup.
You said you liked history, so...
yeah, I did remember that name, didn't I?
All right, can we get a full lap of green here, guys? This is getting worse out here. Hopefully, with as many laps as we had. It started out so good. It seemed like it was very calm. Yep. And now suddenly everybody is in a hurry. And I don't really understand it, Bill, if I'm honest, because we still have so much racing left to go. They don't need to be in a hurry to try to get up to the front.
Yeah, and it's not solo spins. It's mostly contact from aggressive racing. Going to play a little game with the viewers here to keep it interesting. I'll set the over-under for the next caution at 152.5. So if you bet the over, you're thinking 153. Go ahead, even money on that.
I'm glad you didn't make it a drinking game. That's all I'm going to say. So we care about our viewers and their health. As they go green once again, Thunhorst once again up at the front. Pataska a lot more solidly into second. He keeps Mark Herzog at bay. Travis Whirling up to the high side, seeing if he can get to the podium. Number 900 car fighting hard. A lot of side-by-side racing throughout the field. They are not getting single file very quickly. We got a big accident.
Big accident, no caution, no, not yet. Oh, now there it goes.
Ray Partridge and Brian Barnes were some of the first involved in that, I want to say. In fact, it was the Salami.
Yeah, in fact, it happens after the big melee. The Salami gets into Brian Bennett.
Oh, yeah, both of them.
And Adam Young gets caught up in that, too. He gets shot from a couple of sides there in the 21.
And looks like the tempers are heating up quite a bit because I'm seeing some drivers getting muted out there. There's only so many cautions that you can withstand, so many times that you can take damage. The Salami, unfortunately, finds a bit of the chopping block. And don't think that is certainly going to help him move up the order because those were some hard hits.
What happens when you have to make a pit stop? You got this in front of you. And that's how you win a championship.
Wow. That was a little luck, though, I'd say, involved in that one. All the cars moved down to the infield, away from the high line. If they had come up, he would have had nowhere to go because he would have been pinned between cars to the inside and the concrete wall.
Blake Reynolds makes his own luck. If they would have come up, he would have been on the low side.
Amazing how he can defy physics in your head there, Bill.
He can do that with your Blake Reynolds, man. Okay, the unders win. Did not get to 152.5.
Nope, we didn't even get close to it, unfortunately. We still are waiting on Herzog and Thunhorst to come in for their stops. No, Sean, you talked about you can't get to the end without a lot of cautions. We've had a lot of cautions. Is it possible? I mean, I'm just throwing it out there.
Did I say that?
Was it you or was it somebody else? I'm trying to remember.
I don't know. I don't remember at this point. Listen, we've taken maybe breeding cautions a little bit to the extreme here. I still am of the opinion that it's going to be a green flag run that really decides this race. And maybe we did need to condense this down to a 100-lap race, kind of like what we see on Saturday nights, to really figure out what's going to happen here. We're just about in that window. They're going to have 110 laps to go when they get to the line next time. So I don't know, Joe. Maybe this might be the sweet spot in this event tonight. when we get down to, like I said, 100 and less to go. I guess they're going to have to make believers out of all of us, aren't they?
Yeah, well, we saw on our screen the lucky dog went to the popsicle man. One driver we haven't paid attention to since the stops is Christian Challenger. He's still stuck down in 11th. Let's see if he can do something with it as we go green once again. Matthew Thunhorse leads. Dallas Pataska away. Mark Herzog can't quite get his nose down inside. Travis Whirling. This is looking a little bit like deja vu. As almost gets a tap from Lynn Kinchlow. Or excuse me, no, Sam Roush. They both come out the other side.
Roush's been all over this track tonight, too. Oh, and whirling up in the wall.
Yeah, he grazed that concrete, and that hurt his momentum. That's going to bring Roush back into the side-by-side battle. Challenger still trying to make inroads. He's up to 10th now, but he's caught behind a pack of cars. Right on board with Lynn Kinchlow, looking up at the side-by-side action between Sam Roush and Travis Whirling. This is for 4th place, and a much better shot off down the inside gives Sam Roush P4. Let's take a look back at Christian Challenger. Again, he's trying to win a championship here. He's still ahead of Blake Reynolds by a couple positions, but he needs Reynolds to be much farther down the order. Right on board with Christian. See him working the high side, most cars down to the low side in single file. He's going to be able to out-accelerate them. Now he ducks down to the inside. Tom Dreiling up there in the number 06. Can't get it done off of 2, Sean.
Listen, it's been a tough evening for Dreiling. It's a tough evening for a lot of cars. Still a lot of side-by-side hard racing going on here throughout the field right now. In fact, boy, it's Challenger involved in one of those battles with Dreiling, like we talked about. And boy, he's got no help here. He's got him in front of him, behind him, all around him.
And behind him, actually, that's Blake Reynolds. He managed to get past the cars that were separating him, and he's going to try and follow him through. Oh, a little bit of a tip behind them as Lionel Kalisto actually had contact with Wade Hayes.
Wade did a great job of saving that. That could have gone bad quick. There's Slavonic back there in a battle also with battling with Steve Driscoll.
Driscoll on the low side, Slavonic up at the top in the black and yellow machine. They're still behind Wade Hayes. Drifts up way high, understeers off the corner and keeps it out of the wall. That's going to open up a big old door for Driscoll, who sticks his nose in. Ooh, and a moment behind them for Vincent LaHerbier, having to gather the car back together off of 2.
Vincent's still struggling with it just a bit, Joe. Now he's side by side with Bennett. Oh, Savonic's around.
Tips. This is definitely a caution. Vincent LaHerbier almost pushing Paul Slavonic around. Eventually, he finds himself in the wall.
Boy, I don't know about that.
That started with Hayes getting a touch from behind from Slavonic. Slavonic then spins into the car of Vincent LaHerbier. Brian Bennett gets a slam into the car of Wade Hayes, and then everybody scatters. Almost pushing him around the corner.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was groaning there. I don't know. I'd probably lift if I had somebody draped all over the front of my car, and I don't know.
Well, you might have been trying to, because that car was sideways, which it's going to slow a lot quicker than you. All right. We had a little bit of a green flag run. That's a good sign. We're going to take some positivity. I'm going to take a lesson from you, Sean. Yes.
We are heading in the right direction. Yes, sir.
Wade Hayes, I can report, I just saw he took his spare car from that. So we know that if you've got your clipboard that Bill has handed out, check off Wade Hayes for spare car. Maybe we need to get some merchandise, Bill, and have some Bills on clipboards.
Some swag, that would be good.
Yeah, there we go.
Soup's clipboard army, baby. I think we got it right there.
We'll look into to manufacturing and see how much that cost. So I think we have our first retiree. Brian Bennett has joined us and has left the track. I know your car is sitting there in pit lane, Brian. Do you expect to get back out there? It looks like yellow fever has certainly taken over.
It's embarrassing. I did get my chat muted after the thing that happened about 5 or 10 laps ago. I got 9 minutes repair, and I'm steaming, so I imagine the motor's done.
I can kind of understand. We talked about the tempers looking like they're starting to flare up out there. So, I mean, from your perspective, what do you think needs to happen to get this going green a little bit longer?
I don't know. I haven't seen many of the cautions. They've, at the front we were racing pretty clean, pretty hard, sensibly, and it was good. So I don't really know what's going on. That last one, all I know is, Beltrami, and I saw Beltrami's car, and I'm not sure who was in it. There's 3 cars spinning on the front stretch, the one that I think took me down. And I lifted and did it. I'm like, wow, that's the best job I ever did going through dodging a crash on an oval. And then, 5 seconds later in turn 1, I just get plowed. So people have to use their heads. And, if there's a caution flag out, let off the gas. Don't be friggin' idiots.
Well, that caution's going to end commiserations, Brian, as we get ready to go green here.
Or are we? Oh.
We are green and away, Joe. Might have lost Joe for just a moment. Up at the front, we got him battling, though. Oh man. Challenger all over this, and Thunhorse trying to hang on.
Incredibly messy start as Thunhorse did not get going.
That has checked up Herzog back there as he's trying to get under Protaska.
As they work their way through at least a couple laps of green here. Up at the front, still working on it. Christian Challenger challenging Matthew Thunhorst on much fresher tires, but still can't seem to make it work. 159 laps now up to the high side. It looks like that number 78 is going to be able to poke his nose back into the lead.
Oh, we got another caution, Joe. It looks like Kinchlow gets around. Might have gotten a little bit of help there from the car that turned with him, and that's the 027 there, Vincent L'Herbier.
Let's take a look. Like a number of cars could have been involved in that, actually. At least had to scatter to try and get around. Popsicle car had a little bit of contact, but no, actually, wow.
Kinchlow had to get off of it because Kinchlow had to back out. Then he got caught by L'Herbier, and then Adam Young got into the back of L'Herbier and took him around too. So Brian Bennett probably happy that he has retired as there's another yellow. Brian's are going to be our Legends champion. You heard a little bit of a "you kids get off my lawn" type attitude from the old guy.
Yeah, and man, he sounded absolutely despondent. And I can understand. It's the last race of the season. You want to get a good result. So you want to finish on a high note.
Okay. So maybe these guys need to tune in on Saturday nights, Joe.
I think
this
so.
Is short track. This is short track racing. I mean, this is what happens. This is, listen, my home track, Riverhead Raceway in Riverhead, New York. Love it. Been going there since I was a baby, since I was born. My dad was racing the weekend before I was born. Anyway, that being said, this happens every Saturday night. You get a long race, 200 to 300 laps. You're going to get cautions, and sometimes you might get a lot of them. Sometimes it's hard to get that red mist clear, man, especially when there's so many cars left on the track, right? You want to beat every car that's next to you. The competitive juices just get so to a boiling point that, well, I mean, we heard it in the interview a moment ago with Brian. Obviously, he was upset. I'm sure a lot of these drivers are upset now. Joe, you know what it's like to try and drive with the red mist. It's not fun, and it's generally never orderly or like it should be. And I think that's what we kind of run into here at this point.
Yep. Sometimes judgment does indeed get clouded. Let's see if we can clear the skies a little bit, as we're going to go green one more time. We are on lap 163, going to just start 164, and as they start to double up, I think we're going to go green on 165.
Joe and I are both married. Here's your next over and under. How many of us will remain married after this race? The over under is 1.5.
Well, I have a very patient wife, I will say that. She doesn't mind me doing these broadcasts. She's upstairs right now, I believe. Hopefully, we're going to do a little bit dinner for afterwards. We'll see if any of these guys can enjoy a good meal after this race, or if maybe it'll be comfort food. Christian Challoner might need it, because this championship is slipping through his fingers despite leading the race ahead of his teammate Dallas Pataska. Matthew Thunhorst on the high side. Samuel Roush, who we've seen spun around not too long ago, already up, fighting for a podium yet again. And don't forget, look at that peanut butter and jelly car behind them. That's Blake Reynolds, who is up to the top 5. Still side by side, nobody willing to give way. Thunhorst with a little bit of a nose ahead, but he's going the long way around. We talked about that high side potentially coming in, but I don't think had enough of a continuous run for it to heat up at the bottom.
Joe, I want to bring up one driver. I want to bring up Adam Young real quick. Adam's been involved in several small little incidents. Right now, he sits in 10th, and he's battling. I mean, he's really got Steve Driscoll in his sights right now. The car is clean, and I think Adam's got a legitimate shot to crack well inside this top 10 before the night is over.
Well, speaking of cracking up in positions, Matthew Thunhorst now has Blake Reynolds already. Remember, he was in 5th not long ago. He managed to get to 4th. Now he is trying to take 3rd away, and I think he's almost done it, but he's got to do it soon, because look at the front 2 starting to pull away, and we got a caution.
Oh, yeah.
Partridge.
We had bumper cars out there for a moment. Oh, man.
Beltrami maybe the first? Yeah, Beltrami the first one. A little bit slow ahead of Vincent Leherbier. That checks up Kinchlow. That checks up Archer. And Partridge was at the end of it.
Paul Slavonic in the role of Charlton Heston here as the seas parted for him. Goes right through.
Yeah, I want an onboard of this one. Maybe a nose cam to see how close we get. I have to imagine Dougie's going to have to replace a number of those nose cams after this race is over.
Yep.
Right on board with the Alliance driver, Paul Slavonic. Didn't do anything special. Everything just worked out.
Spitty, Clement, Thunhorst. Okay, I've got a few more names in there, Joe.
Man. All right, with that, we're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Hopefully, we'll come back to a little bit more green flag racing here in the final round of the Majors, final race of the season. Welcome back here to Myrtle Beach. We're going to get ready to go racing once again as we're behind the pace car. And your top 5 are Challenger, Pataska, Reynolds, Thunhorst, and Roush. The pace car peels off. We have no DNFs right now. Everybody else is out back on track. They accelerate away out of turn 4.
Blake gave Christian a little shove there on the restart. I don't know if that was the plan.
Yeah, I doubt that was intentional. So as they come around, he's not going to be able to get into second place because Dallas Pataska beats him to it. Ooh, as he washes up, though, Pataska getting awful close to the wall. Reynolds tries for the over-under, gets his nose in down to the low side, and now we have a fight for second.
We certainly do, Joe. Man.
Through 3 and 4, he's holding that inside line pretty darn well. Did he catch the wall there, Sean?
Oh, yeah, he did, man. Pataska was in it. He was all the way in it.
Well, that's going to give it over to Blake Reynolds now.
Is it?
Yeah, he takes a look, but look, already Challenger's pulling away.
Yep.
Challenger is just streaking away.
Well, don't give him clean track. Don't let him get ahead. If he does, he's going to run away from you. Plain and simple.
Things are a lot more hot and heavy in the back of the pack. Wade Hayes was 3 wide for a moment with the likes of Tom Dreiling and Taft Baldwin. They get that sorted out. You can see how many cars racing side by side still, and Michael Thompson now passes Wade Hayes down the inside.
Man, and it seems like Steve Driscoll's been battling with somebody all night. He back to battling with Warling. We've seen both of these cars together several times this evening.
Yep, this is a fight for 8th position. In fact, it's our first side-by-side action in the pack.
Warling a little bit too much brake there. Car got out of shape on him. He's lucky he didn't loop it.
We got a caution.
Caution's back out.
Partridge.
Oh, yeah, I think it was Ray. I think that you're going to see here when we get to the replay, the car tightened up on him a little bit there in the center of the turn.
Well, he got he got sideswiped by the salami, and then poor James Stacy absolutely T-boned him.
Watch here. His car takes a little bit of a wicked turn there in the middle. It starts to break around right there, and I honestly think that was him, again, tightening up and getting down. Well, he definitely made contact with Beltrami, but I think his car initiated it because, like I said, it looked like it started to break around there. Yeah, he went down into Partridge. And unfortunately, I think that shot might have ended his night because he's out of the car. And, well, we've got the barbecue going here. I think the ribs are on, and they should be ready in about 68 laps.
Well, Slavonic's another one with a smoking engine. Did we miss something with him hitting someone?
I'll go take a look. I'm not sure what happened to Slavonic there.
And the car is looking absolutely horrible right now for Slavonic. So as Sean is checking that out.
Yeah, he was behind that mess. He got caught up in it, and he actually got he actually hit Partridge's car as he was going by. That sent him careening straight into the wall. It sent him right up into the wall.
I'm going to see if we can find the replay.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Well, that's a disappointing end for Slavonic, too.
It was quite a time ago. We may not get to it, but Paul really, really suffering hard on that. Oh, do we have it here? Yeah.
Well, all right, we found Paul.
Yeah, okay, so there he is. All right, here we are back on the replay. He's, like I said, he's behind this whole mess that breaks out in front of him. Watch as he gets by Partridge, the 88 here. After they spin, he's going to catch a small piece of Partridge's car, but it's what happens after. Man, that was a hard shot.
Oh. Man, yep, that'll do it for sure, and that explains why he had such significant damage. So we come back live once again. 2 cars in the pit lane because of that. we just showed why for both of them, Slavonic and Partridge. The rate things are going, they could still get the car completely repaired and back out. Because Brian Bennett, who, had a lot of repairs left to go, he's come back out. He's 21 laps down, though, so he's basically just riding to try and get whatever points he can. Fact, of the cars that we have left on the lead lap, there are only 19 of the 26 starters. So with that, we see the pace car is already in, and our leader Christian Challenger takes off, almost getting a bump draft from Dallas Pataska. They timed that one so well. Blake Reynolds just had no way of getting ahead of them.
A little Lawrence Welk going on there. A 1, a 2, a 3, and then they go. They got it worked out.
Well, add that to the list of
I went
nobody's going to get.
I told you Google was going to be busy tonight.
Sadly, I know exactly what you're referencing, but Blake Reynolds trying hard on the high side, and it looks like he's carrying the momentum. Boy, as much as Dallas Pataska has tried to hold him back, Sean, it seems like he just does not have anything for Blake.
Blake will not be denied. It's plain and simple.
He's got a beautifully set up car. The real challenge for him has been trying to get past Christian Challenger. I don't think we've seen him do it yet this race, but he hasn't had enough green flag racing for us to really see what he's got for the number 78. Now that he's gotten past Pataska, let's see if he can run down that 0.3 of a second gap.
Oh, I think he can do it. I really do, because that car gives every appearance that it's handling very, very well. He's starting to close them already, Joe.
Yeah, that was 3.5, well, actually, no, it's up to 0.4 there. Breaking into the corner, but he looks closer on my screen. That's very odd. Pataska's not giving up on him. We've got a little bit of a battle behind them, side by side between Alliance cars, Callisto and Herzog.
Oh boy, and it looks like Adam had trouble. Adam Young with car getting loose on him in the middle of the turn. As in the middle of turn 1 and 2 where he's got trouble there, Soup.
Yep. Vincent LaHerbier gave him a little help completing the pirouette.
Not a whole lot of damage that came out of that, so they're going to get racing once again. Adam even gets on the radio saying that one was his fault as he lost control of the car.
I'm taking blame for that, Adam. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have.
Yeah,
heaped any praise on him earlier. I'm going to take blame for one of these cautions.
All right.
Hey, sponsor a caution. There's an idea.
Yeah. It's it'll make somebody well, not a lot of money. Well, hopefully it'll make him a lot of money, but it'll give them a lot of attention regardless. I tell you what, a driver who's not spending a lot of money right now is Mark Herzog. He's sitting in 5th place. The number 57, it almost seems like Mark himself has to pay for these virtual tires. He's taken none. He hasn't come into the pits at all this race. He's got 193 lap old tires, and he's still holding on to the top 5.
That might be some of that modified experience that Soup alluded to from his experience in the Bootleg Racing League. You know, those guys, they don't get any tire changes there in the Bootleg Racing League. So, certainly if anyone's used to driving on old tires on short tracks, it's Martin Herzog right now. He is the only one in this field that has not been in, Joe.
Exactly.
I think you might have pointed that out, but I mean, I don't think that point can be made any bigger, honestly. He is the only one that has not visited pit lane since this green flag dropped at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, I'm thinking more and more. He's trying to actually get all the way to the end without pitting, just valuing track position for the sheer fact that cautions are not allowing too many passes.
You don't want to be back any farther than 5th. This is good right here, because all the chaos has been going on from the mid-pack back.
Which is a shame, because I was just thinking, as that last caution came out, Bill, that I almost feel like more drivers should be coming in for tires, because it seems like some of them are having difficulty controlling it towards the end of this race.
Yep.
Track
I think we're good here. 55 to go. I think we're gonna go the distance.
Here's hoping. So we watch the cars now get double file once again. I've completely lost count of cautions. Last time I mentioned them, they were actually fed to me by Mike Willett. Poor Mike is, I'm not sure even he knows how many cautions they've had up there in race control at this moment. So as the pace car is now in pit lane, Blake Reynolds to the outside of Christian Challoner. Challoner may be playing a few games there with him. That's going to allow Dallas Pataska to get to the inside for second yet again.
Yeah, boy, Blake looked a little slow on that one. He already going to try to cross him over, though. What he does, gets down to the inside quickly there, out of the exit of 2.
Like Sean said, there is no holding back Blake Reynolds. You can pass him for a little bit, but you can't hold him back. As the outside still in favor of Dallas Pataska, the momentum helping him try and challenge, and he's making life hard for the champion to be as they almost make contact. In popcorn position is Mark Herzog. He's gone from that 5th place up to 4th. Watch on board, Mark.
Mike Willett just shot us a number there, Joe. 19.
All right. Soon these cautions will be old enough to drink.
Oh, jeez.
Well, here's the good news. Here's the good news for Blake Reynolds, as why he can fight right now. There's only 21 cars that are close.
Ooh, Herzog all over the rear end of Pataska. Sorry, Soup. Jeez.
That's okay.
Yep, it's going to make it interesting in this battle for second, which is not abated. And look at that. That was a lift. That was an intentional lift from Blake Reynolds to let him up. Interesting stuff. Are we starting to see Blake Reynolds decide it's better to just get to the end of this race and take the championship than to try to fight a teammate of my rival?
If he were to crash and have disastrous results, I'd see him finishing 22nd right now. Now, I got to admit, though, that Nick Kuhn is still racing. That would move him down to 23rd. Boy, I'll tell you right now, if Nick Kuhn is the reason that Blake Reynolds doesn't win a championship, I won't be back next season.
Certainly not getting a Christmas card.
Remember, Nick can do whatever he wants. Remember,
That's right.
He's got that clause working for him.
Getting very close once again, man. He's not afraid to race hard with Dallas.
No,
I don't blame him, but again, championship on the line. If I was Blake Reynolds, I'd be happy to just ride here in 3rd all the way to lap 250. So as they come around 3 and 4, and indeed, he is basically just sitting in line now. In fact, a lot of the cars are. First battle for position is between Tom Dreiling and Michael Thompson. That actually might be settling right now. You see a little bit of a look to the inside from the Elite West driver. Thompson has to give up the ghost. In fact, he's horrible off the corner. Now Wade Hayes has a chance to maybe take a look. Less than 50 laps to go now.
Hayes started in 17th. He's up 4 spots. Thompson started in 24th. He's cut that in half.
Yeah, up to 12th position. Number of drivers, which, I mean, after this many laps and this many cautions, not too surprising that we're seeing a little bit jumbled. Le Herbier from 19th to 10th. That's no mean feat. Oh, and we've got a pass for second. Dallas Pataska let the inside go to Blake Reynolds, but he's not going to let the inside go to Mark Herzog, who can't get his nose in. Let's look at the replay on how this kicked off. It's already inside on this. Has maybe caught a little bit of the wall there. One more time from above. Wow. He absolutely pancaked the right side, and that is not going to help his pace, but the damage has been done. Blake Reynolds a whole 1.3 seconds back from our leader, and in short track terms, that is an eon. Laps are winding down. Now we got a battle between Travis Worling and Sam Roush. This also involves Steve Driscoll, who's still in the mix with the top 10.
Still in the mix and still close to Travis Worling. Honestly, I think it's been the theme of the night for those two. I can't say enough about Sam Roush, though. How is he still in this race? And you see the damage on the rear end of the car. You can see it on screen when he comes around. But boy, you talk about a driver who has been running hard all night. That 916 has been a contender and holds on to a solid top 5 right now.
I think we got another retiree coming, James Stacy. 15 laps down at the moment. I think he's deciding he's not going to be able to do much more in this race. He has entered the pits. So for all the damage that we thought Dallas Pataska might have, he's not dropped off of Blake Reynolds. In fact, he's hounding him for that spot.
How about not dropping off? How about Mark Herzog?
Yeah, absolutely. Herzog, and you talked about the experience that he's got in short track racing. He is certainly looking like he could get on the podium.
And Joe, at this point, we may have had enough cautions, honestly, to where fuel may not be a factor for him at all. He may be able to actually ride this thing out.
I'm pretty certain at this point. I mean, if he didn't think he was going to make it, I think he would have pitted by now. Because pitting, it would have. I mean, the next caution would put him at the very back, and he has very few laps to try and make it up. So he's committed.
I would say sometime right after about that 100 lap to go mark that you would have seen him come in, but no, it's looking like this is the plan. Run her out to the end.
I thought that was a lap car. That was Brian Bennett just getting out of the way of the leaders. Finally. Looks like Blake Reynolds has been able to drop Dallas Pataska. He's put about a half a second between himself and that Kinetic Pacific driver. But even though he's dropped him, Christian Challenger seems to have more pace than number 66. He's extending the gap.
Roush, his spot is under threat. Worling pressing hard back here. Guys.
And don't forget, they've got Steve Driscoll in the popcorn position, ready to try and take things away from them. So as they work their way around 3 and 4, the rear view of Sam Roush really illustrates your point there, Sean. Look at the damage on the back of that car.
Yeah, he's been running with that for a majority of the race, honestly. I think he picked that up early, very early.
And he's starting to run a high line here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He got a little bit of a longer green flag run. But the cars behind him not. Travis Worling staying low. So is Steve Driscoll. The plot thickens.
It kind of does.
I think Roush is the slowest because they keep gaining. The train keeps getting longer and longer. Matthew Thunderhurst now is going to get on the back of this one.
Riding on board with Driscoll, we watch as the difference in lines becomes obvious in every corner, and he is certainly enjoying it, because even if he's slower, they aren't able to get very close to him.
No, they're not. They're not making any ground on him at all. I think a lot of it's got to do with his line, to be honest. They're pinching it off down there on the bottom, and he's got a nice flow going through the turns.
Worling had to work really hard, though, maybe 10, 15 laps ago for about 5 laps, really working on the back of Roush. Might have given up some of his stuff.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that either. The tires are getting abused now. This has been, I think, the longest green flag run we've had so far. And I wonder if that's also hurting Dallas Pataska, who's not only lost touch with Blake Reynolds, but Mark Herzog is continuing to pressure that number 94.
Well, Herzog is on he's the guy on the old set of tires, right? So he knows how to just not abuse them. Obviously, he's gone this far. Somebody really needs to call Tire Protective Services on Herzog for making those tires
tire
work
abuse.
that hard. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're no more abused than Dallas Pataska's because they're half a race younger than Mark Herzog, and he is struggling to hold him behind. Gap between Challoner and Reynolds has only increased a little bit. Down to the inside. Late dive by Mark Herzog, but it doesn't quite work. Clipped a little bit of the wall on the entry, did Dallas. That almost came out of nowhere. Getting close to 20 laps to go here. It took us a long time, but finally the wheels are turning. And I believe from what we're getting from the league organizer, Mike Willett, Blake Reynolds, before the checkered flag even, has been declared the champion. And since we're doing short track racing, we've hit 20 laps to go. Sean, I'm going to hand over to you.
Yes, sir. 20 to go. It's time to boogie, baby. Let's drop the disco ball down, get the lights spinning, and it's an all skate. Here we go.
Christian Challoner, still your leader, but that lead has come down now that they're starting to hit traffic. It was 1.5. It's now 1.2. Blake Reynolds. Could we see a little bit of Bob the Blade come out in Blake here? Let's see if he can run him down just by being better through the slower cars.
I hope he sought approval from Bob on that.
I don't think Bob would mind, especially a worthy driver such as Blake Reynolds, who now takes the crown from Lionel Callisto.
You know what? This traffic in front of Challoner is racing pretty hard at the moment. In fact, it's Kuhn and Dreiling.
Kuhn. Yeah, that's not for position.
That's not for position. Kuhn's going to get out of the way.
Yeah, he's not interested in causing another incident. Challoner now takes the next to them. Tom Dreiling staying high. That did help Blake Reynolds just a little bit. It was back up to 1.5 for a moment. It's now back down to 1.3. Back in 7th place. We got a little bit of a side-by-side action. This is Driscoll and Thunhorst.
Oh, Driscoll finally gets to play with somebody else besides Travis Morling.
Just can't, quite get it done.
I was going to say, is Driscoll going to get a little help from his teammate there in James Stacy, but Stacy's going to get it well out of it. Oh, that was close.
Yeah, Stacy didn't make life easy, that's for sure, but it certainly didn't hold up Steve Driscoll. Still on the outside of Thunhorst, trying to carry the speed off the corner. This time he does. Wow. But it's once again long way around the outside. Oh, our former champion is coming into the pits. Not sure what this is in regards to, though. Did he not fill up enough fuel, maybe?
Maybe not.
Oh, Mark Herzog, what happened to him? He's farther down the order. He pits. He can't get to the end. Not enough fuel. In fact, he ran out of fuel. He's coasting.
Oh.
We were wrong. 10 laps shy. Oh,
that's a shame, man. That really is. That's a really tough break for Mark.
So that promotes Dallas up to 3rd. Sam Roush up to 4th now.
Persistence. It's going to pay off for Sam Roush.
Certainly will. We now come to 10 laps to go. Christian Challener leading Reynolds by 1.5 seconds, but the championship is already over. Challener can only solidify second place, which honestly he already has. And at this point, this is a matter of pride, wanting to go home with his head held high, knowing that he will be the winningest driver of the season, despite not taking home the crown. Came down to 2 pro-level drivers here on iRacing. And it was Blake Reynolds who wound up taking it. Christian Challener is going to get another chance next season.
Hey, with Herzog running out of fuel, there's now a nice battle for 4th. And this is Travis Warland going to take a shot at Roush.
Yeah, Warland is hot on his heels. Oh, and he's no longer hot on his heels. He's to the inside of him, down into 1 and 2. With only 7 laps left, it's go time for the number 900.
Sam, just keep running your line. Run your line, Sam. I think Sam knows what he's doing up there in that line. I don't think Travis is going to be able to get him past here.
Sam is going to play it again up on that high side. And it's, like you said, it's working for him. And he denies the number 900.
And Sam's got the boys in Boston cheering with that iRacing liveried car there.
Absolutely. Looking very appropriate. Now down to 5 laps to go. Fewer cars on the lead lap than before. Lynn Kinchlow, the last one, in 13th place. 4 laps remain in this season.
How many?
With the gap holding steady. Just 4. After thousands that these drivers have run between the various regions.
Oh, now here's interesting. Kuhn had to change his line. Not Kuhn. I'm sorry. Roush had to change his line because of Kuhn there in the track. And that, ooh, here comes Warling now.
Nope.
Can't quite get to him.
I thought Roush was going to lose that. I really did for a moment. He had to change his line. It was not comfortable for him. It didn't look safe there for a moment.
It's 2 laps to go. Next one is the white flag for Christian Challener. What a bittersweet victory this is going to be. And appropriately, he's going to be followed by last season's champion, Lionel Callisto, a lap down behind him. Multiple laps down, actually. Around 1 and 2, onto the backstretch, the number 78. Into 3 and 4. He's going to take the win here today, Christian Challener. But the championship will go to the car behind him. Blake Reynolds wins it finally.
Yeah, congratulations to Blake, man. He's a really, really good guy. These are all good guys, but I've gotten to know Blake a little bit over the past couple of years. I'm really happy for him. That's really cool.
Absolutely. And Bill, as was pointed out to us before the race, is look at that. They're going to get a little moment here, the two of them at the start-finish line. That's great sportsmanship between them. It was pointed out to us, Bill, that this is the reverse of what happened last season to Blake. He was beat by a driver who had far less wins than him.
Yep. Maybe learned a little bit of strategy there. Blake doing some very tight donuts.
He is. He's going to burn him down as we go to break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We're going to take a much well-earned rest as the season is now over for the majors. Stick around because we've got the driver interviews as well as the unofficial results on the other side. Welcome back to Myrtle Beach. Don't cry because it's over. Be happy that it happened. It was another great season here in the majors. And while our winner of this final round was Christian Challenger, and he won the most races of the season, 6 in total, it was Blake Reynolds who finished second and clinched his first championship here in the majors in the Pacific region. Dallas Pataska wound up in third behind him. I think Dallas is one to watch out for next season. He could be challenging for that win, with Sam Roush finishing in fourth. What a great run from him, from 13th, the only driver up in the top 5 that came from outside of the top 10. Travis Worley finished in 5th, with Matthew Thunhorst finishing 6th position. Then it's Wade Hayes finishing 7th, and P8 goes to Vincent Leherbier. Michael Thompson, 24th to 9th. Not a bad feat. And Brian Barnes, your favorite guy, he goes from 22nd to 10th.
Nice run from him. 3 more drivers on the lead lap. Bob Beltrami, Adam Young, and Lynn Kinchlow. Then we get to the drivers that are 1 lap down. Wayne Hutchinson in 14th position. Tom Dreiling. Lionel Callisto, our defending champion, comes home in 16th position ahead of Mark Herzog. Steve Driscoll in 18th. Clark Archer in 19th. Then we get to the guys that ran out of spare cars. It starts in 20th with James Stacy. Sean?
All right, Soup. Then we go all the way down to 21st. It's going to be Brian Bennett at number 71, the One Alliance driver. Nick Kuhn in the Skull Bandit. He'll finish, or the Dog Bear Bandit this evening. He'll finish 22nd there in at number 19. The Double Odd of Jimbo Pfeiffer, our good friend there, 23rd for him. Taft Baldwin, the number 90, 948. He's going to finish 24th tonight. Paul Savlonic, what a tough run for him. Sorry, Paul. The number 528, 25th, and 26th going to go, well, to the Ocho. Can I say that, Ocho? Ray Partridge. All right, Ray Partridge is going to round out the 26 cars that started this race tonight, Joe. Lots to talk about and people waiting. Let's go.
Well, let's kick it off in style. Let's talk to our newly crowned champion, Blake Reynolds. Congratulations. You just missed out last year, and it's not the case this time around.
Yeah, it feels pretty good. I got the reminder there with 25 laps to go by Adam that I had clinched it, according to Mike. So I kind of already got the feeling out of the way there before the end of the race, but at least I got to do some nice burnouts. It's been a hell of a year, man. Obviously, I would have wanted to win more races, but Christian told me before the start of this season that he was going to be racing, because me and him had raced in Peak last year, and I actually told him and Zelensky to come on over at the start of the season and come race with us. And yeah, it was a hell of a battle, but he easily could have bested me if he had more fortune go his way. But yeah, what a hell of a year.
Yeah, you guys certainly gave each other it all. Do you feel a small sense of irony knowing that what happened to you last year has now happened to the car that you just beat?
Oh, I do know that. I was going to actually message Lionel. I was going to message Lionel about it, but I didn't. But yeah. And again, this year, crazy year for me. I actually fell out of the Peak Antifreeze iRacing series, and I'll be racing in the Pro Series this fall. But this really caps off my year. I actually was caring more about this than the actual World Championship Series at one point. At this point of the year, actually. Yeah, this means a lot, and it's cool to get a cool trophy like that.
Yeah, I can't imagine you'd feel disappointed taking home top honors here, even if you did fall out of Peak Antifreeze. Before we let you go, is there anybody you want to thank for this long and hard-fought season?
Well, as always, I got to thank my team, Ride Shotgun Motorsports. Not everyone there's every week, but the people who all come together. Adam Young mostly, Clark Archer as well. Clark's one of our main testers, and he really gets the chassis in. But this week, Taft Baldwin, I'm so glad to have Taft this week. He got this amazing setup and what got us a good finish. And I'm glad that he's back, and hopefully he'll be back for next season. Yeah, that team. And then over on the other side, with my NASCAR guys that have helped me in the NASCAR side here as well, Dead Zone Racing and Houston Hammer. They're an amazing group, and I cherish it.
Well, cherish this victory, and hopefully you'll get to enjoy some nice photos with that trophy once it shows up, the Mario Andretti Drivers Cup. So that was Blake Reynolds, our new champion. Up next, Bill is going to be talking to the man that might feel a little bit more like Felipe Massa right now.
Absolutely. No trophy for Christian Challoner, but he does get the win, and he has a lot of them this season. Christian, I guess small consolation, get the win here to wrap it up.
Yeah, a little bit of a strange one, I guess. I mean, I've never ran a well, actually, I was going to say I've never ran a championship where I won that many races and still lost. But actually I have, because there's a fixed cup car league that runs, and the exact same thing happened last year. So I guess it's not that unusual. But yeah, we probably, well, I'm pretty sure we didn't have the fastest car there. And we definitely did play a team game, so we won't even try and say that we didn't, because we definitely did. But we really wanted to win the race, and I'm pretty sure that gives me 6 wins total.
Yeah,
it would have been 7 if it wasn't for that thing that happened at Coda where I got disconnected 2 from the end. But yeah, it sucks not to win like any championship in a strange way like that. But I think it's hard to argue that we haven't been extremely strong. I mean, I'm 100% sure I have more wins than anybody else in the series. I'm pretty certain I've got more poles than anybody else as well. The lowest I qualified all season was 5th, and really the only race I would say that I actually properly made a mistake was Suzuka. So I'm pretty happy with how I ran overall.
Yeah, Suzuka. It's hard for me I didn't even want to go there, because you can go back and almost pinpoint the place where maybe the championship got away from you. Let's not go to Suzuka. Let's go to tonight. We'll get you out of here on this one. You were out in front a lot, but there was a time where you're back in traffic. Got a little messy back there.
Yeah, I got lucky on one of those restarts where just a hole opened up on the bottom lane right after where the flag stand was. So I just went for the gap, and then I was 3rd, I think, and there was some contact for the front, and that got me to the inside, and I was able to just sneak ahead, I think, when the yellow came out, and that really sealed it. Honestly, at that point, I kind of figured that as long as I never lost the lead, I mean, on like restarts and things, like as long as I had good restarts and I stayed ahead, that I was probably not going to lose from that point forwards.
Well, it's been a pleasure to watch your race. Hopefully, you can come back in 2019 and make another run at it.
Thank you, man. It's been fun.
Christian Challoner, our winner today, our runner-up in the championship.
And a driver who tried to help him his best he could to take that championship is Dallas Pataska, and Sean has caught up with him.
That's right. Dallas Pataska, driver the number 94 late model this evening. Dallas, Christian just said it was a team effort. I'm going to ask you one question about the end of the race, and you can answer it however you want. Did you take care of your teammate there towards the end by letting Blake through, or did you really have no choice?
Yeah, I couldn't have held him up much longer. I was trying to, but me and Christian ran a little bit of a variation of a setup, and his was a little bit better, so I kind of turned into his Valtteri Bottas to Lewis Hamilton there. Did what we had to do to get one of our team cars in victory lane, and it worked out, so plan accomplished.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, it's been a lot of fun watching you this season here in the majors, and now we're getting to check you out in some sports car racing on Monday nights with AMGSC. But I got to ask, what do you prefer? You like running the road, or you prefer the ovals? What is really your forte?
Well, that's why I'm running road to find out, but it kind of depends, because on oval there's, I like the cup car, that works out well, but then you have these cars, and I'm not really a big fan of how they drive, so but then again on road has the same deal, so it really just depends on the day and whatever I'm fast in that day.
I got you. You're one of those guys. All right. Which makes you one of the scariest drivers in the group, because those are the ones that can jump up and beat you on any given day. And, well, it wasn't your day-to-day, but it was certainly close. Certainly with all the caution flags we've had, you got to feel pretty fortunate to wind up in the top 10.
Yeah, it was an interesting race. I haven't had to fight a car that hard for that long, maybe ever. Just nothing wanted to work how I originally had planned it to go with the car. But yeah, I'll take a third. It was a weird race, but I'm glad it's over.
You're glad it's over. Well, I listen. We're probably all glad it's over at this point, but we're not glad that the season's over. It's always sad when a long season comes to an end. Do you plan to be back with us for 2019?
That's an interesting question. I'll probably run a couple either way on my end. Like out of the any sports car race, I'll probably do. Obviously, I'll do the NASCAR ones, but as far as the full season goes, I'm not sure. It'll kind of be a week-to-week thing, depending on how the first couple races go, but you'll see me in at least a couple races for sure.
All right. Well, listen, it was a pleasure talking to you again. Congratulations on rounding out the podium this evening, and we will see you, let's see, not this Monday, but the following Monday. So take care, friend.
All right. Hopefully I talk to you guys then, too.
We certainly hope so. That was Dallas Pataska and Joe. It looks like you are actually going to get to talk to Sam Roush, who, in my opinion, really had one of the drives of the race. I'm still shocked. We were talking to him as a top 5 driver.
Yeah, I am a little bit too. Sam, it's Joe Peak here, and from looking at your car at the front, it looks fantastic. The angle that we see on the broadcast right now, how in the world did that car get to the end?
A lot of good timing, missing those wrecks and getting some track position after I lost a little bit of talent and kind of self-spun it going into one time there. But the car was really good. Christian did a really good job with the car. I just lost a little talent there and then made the best of it at the end when the seas kind of parted there. And then I was able to get in the top groove there late in the race, and it seemed like the top groove had a lot of grip up there. It was really hard to pass on the bottom. The bottom groove was just so heated up. There wasn't really a lot of grip down there. So I was able to hold off Travis there on the top with that little bit of grip up there.
Yeah, talk about that, because we were surprised watching you that you were the only one running that line. Do you think that's mostly down to setup? Do you think nobody else had a car that could handle that higher line at the end?
Well, I think that part of it was set up, but mainly because, like I said, Christian did a great job building this car to be able to run the bottom and be really good on a long run. As a result, it was really tight at the beginning of a run. And we were having so many short runs that I could not turn on the bottom whatsoever. I got into Mark a couple times coming off the corner by accident just because I was so tight. And it was either try to push it there, and sometimes I did get into someone, or I had to lift there and I'd lose some track position, which both happened there. But as a result, when I pitted, I ended up taking some wedge out, and we got that long run. And my only option really was to run that top because I was really loose on the bottom.
Well, one more before we let you go. We heard the schedule for next season, and it's sounding pretty enticing. Is it enticing enough to have you on for a full season in 2019?
I'll attempt to. I noticed there's a little more road heavy than I guess in the past. I'm not very good at road racing. I do enjoy it, but I'm not very good at it. I'm going to make my best, at least for the oval races there that are on the schedule. The Lotus 49 at Milwaukee sounds very interesting and very fun, so I'm going to definitely try to make it to that. But hopefully I can see what happens, and hopefully I can run a full season on road and oval, but if more than anything, try to run the full oval side.
Well, we look forward to having you back, because you certainly help spice things up here whenever you do show up. Congratulations on a 4th place finish, and best of luck next year.
Thanks, guys, for broadcasting, of course. Thanks to Christian and Dallas for working on the car for this run. Everybody at Dynamic Autosports. It was a lot of fun. And again, thanks for putting on this awesome broadcast that you guys do.
Thank you very much. That was Sam Roush, 4th place finisher. I know we want to get out of here real quick. Don't go on too long here, guys. I just want to get a quick thoughts on the season. We'll start with Bill. What'd you think?
Challenger and Reynolds, best in class. I want to give a tip of the hat to Travis Warling, who I thought was really best of class for everybody other than Challenger and Reynolds. A great run from him. He's going to finish 3rd in the points.
Sean?
Joe, you know what? I'm not going to talk about the season. I'm going to talk about Mike Wallette and the work him and his staff put in and year out. Hands down, we universally agree on this. I know behind the scenes, this is the very best series on the iRacing service. It doesn't get any better than this. Nobody runs it better. Nobody does it better than Mike. And we can't wait to be part of it in 2019.
I agree. I can't wait at all. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody again come January in Daytona. Again, a huge, huge thank you, not only to Mike Willett, but also his team of folks behind the scene. We talked in a little bit earlier in this broadcast, just a few of them, actually, we should say, that make this thing happen. It takes a lot of people to deal with thousands, well, I should say hundreds of drivers from around the world. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to Eric Ekholm and June Lalonde who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Amjad, Bill, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check us out on social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Don't forget, if you head on over to our YouTube page here, GSRC Broadcasting, there's a big red button that says subscribe. If you click that, you won't miss a moment here on the GSRC because you'll get all of our races in your YouTube feed. As I mentioned, the next race is going to be in January, but don't forget, we have the charity races in December. So a little bit of a month break. There is some more racing yet to come here in the majors, but just for fun stuff. We have other races listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.